Before the college entrance exam, the class bell asked me to give a milk tea to my childhood sweetheart. I threw it in the trash because of that milk tea. They had a fierce argument. In the middle of it, she ran into the street and was hit by a car, sent flying later. He got into his dream university and turned around to pursue me relentlessly. We dated, traveled, huddled in the lab, spent anniversaries without fail, until that hiking trip after our wedding, he pushed me off the cliff with all his might. I clawed at the railing, my nails breaking, my fingertips bleeding, but he pried my fingers off one by one, laughing like a madman. This is what you owe man. In the last moment before falling, I used every ounce of strength to grab his collar. Love her that much, then come down with me. When I opened my eyes again, I was back before the college entrance exam. Song Man was once again holding out a cup of milk tea to me. Qingyu, give this to Shu Fang. This time, I didn't stop her. I walked straight over to him without hesitation. Shu Fang, Song Man's special love offering for you. I placed the milk tea, labeled with a sticker that read special love offering, firmly on his desk. Shu Fang, Song Man's special love offering for you. My voice wasn't loud, but it was clear enough for every eavesdropping classmate around to hear. The air in the back row froze solid. Shu Fang looked up from a pile of exam papers, his handsome face full of shock. His buddies went into a frenzy. Holy shit, Lin Qingyu, you've changed. Actually delivering milk tea for the class bell. The sun must be rising from the west. Didn't you hate Song Man the most? Shu Fang didn't say a word, just stared at me with a probing gaze, like he was looking at a stranger. He was used to me following him, used to me orbiting him like a satellite. My sudden cooperation threw him off. I ignored the commotion and calmly returned to my seat. Shu Fang's gaze followed me, tinged with scrutiny and displeasure. Lin Qingyu, you're acting weird today. I opened my book without looking up. Am I? Maybe you're just extra handsome today, handsome enough to make me feel like a stranger. This lame internet joke left him stunned. His buddies burst out laughing. Damn, Fang. One sentence and you've got our top student speechless. But Shu Fang's expression didn't soften. He picked up the milk tea, his fingers unconsciously tracing the cup's surface. Then, he froze, his eyes locked onto the seal near the rim, a tiny, almost invisible pinhole. I smirked inwardly. He saw it. In my past life, I found that hole and threw the milk tea away, earning 8 years of his hatred and that final push. Now, the ball was in his court. A guy named Xie Jinyan, also a childhood friend, suddenly turned around from the front row and snatched the milk tea. Ooh, the class bells love milk tea. If you're not drinking it, I'll take care of it for you. Xie Jinyan laughed, pretending to stick a straw in. Give it back. Shu Fang lunged forward, his hand moving so fast it left a blur, covering the cup's opening. The sharp straw tip sliced a glaring red line across the back of his hand. Xie Jinyan exaggeratedly yelped. What the hell, Shu Fang? You crazy? It's just a cup of milk tea. What's the big deal? Did Song Man put a spell on you? Shu Fang snatched the milk tea back, his tone stiff. This is from Man. If you want one, buy your own. I rested my chin on my hand, watching the drama unfold with amusement, then casually twisted the knife. There's a hole here. I pointed at the tiny pinhole, my voice soft but every word sharp. Be careful. Maybe Song Man added some special ingredient to make sure you don't become the top scorer. Instantly, the whispers around us turned venomous. I knew she couldn't be that nice. She's been planning this all along. Oh my god, it's terrifying how love can turn into hate. She actually spread rumors that the class beauty poisoned someone. Lin Qingyu usually seems so honest. I never thought she'd be so calculating. Shu Fang's face turned completely black. The look he gave me was practically dripping with disgust. Lin Qingyu, put away your filthy thoughts. Don't use your own dirtiness to judge Man. Doesn't he love Song Man so deeply that he'd kill for her? Then prove it to me. I met his murderous glare and smiled. Yeah, I'm filthy, I'm dirty, and she's the purest and most innocent. So what are you waiting for? Drink it down, and prove to your flawless little white flower how unwavering your trust is, and use the facts to slap this rumor-monger right in the face. Xie Jinyan chimed in to stir the pot. Yeah, Shu Fang, drink, hurry up, shut Qingyu up. Shu Fang looked like he was pushed to his absolute limit by the two of us. He stared at me, his eyes not like those of an 18-year-old boy, but like a demon crawling out of hell, carrying a hatred that could destroy heaven and earth. He ripped open the straw's packaging, and with a sharp pop stabbed it viciously through the seal. Then, locking his eyes on my face, he took a huge gulp. The cold liquid rushed up through the straw. He took a second gulp, then a third, until he had drained the entire cup of milk tea from start to finish. His eyes never left mine. The madness and venom in that gaze made every hair on the back of my neck stand on end. The most absurd, most terrifying suspicion in my heart was slowly becoming reality. 02 The bell for the end of evening self-study rang. I didn't wait for Shu Fang like I had every day for the past 3 years. I was the first one out of the classroom, pushing my bike towards the school gate. The wind stung my cheeks, but all I wanted was to ride faster, to escape the feeling of being stalked by a venomous snake. In my sophomore year of high school, my bike tire went flat. He gave me a ride home. The evening wind blew through my hair as I held onto his lean waist. He was happy, his voice laced with laughter. Qingyu, I wish this road would never end. You'd just stay behind me forever, never going anywhere else. After that, my tire kept going flat every few days. It wasn't until I accidentally saw him secretly poking my tire with a nail that I finally understood. The next day, I switched to solid tires. After that, he never offered to give me a ride again. All those memories I once treasured like honey, now I see them for what they were, each one wrapped in calculation and a nauseating desire for control. The way home passed through a dark alley with no streetlights, a rough place, not safe at all. I stopped at the alley's entrance, took a deep breath, and prepared to dash through it alone. Qingyu, Xie Jinyan rode up behind me, stopping with one foot on the ground. His bangs a mess from the wind, his smile was clean and bright. I happen to need to buy a pen at the stationery shop up ahead. It's on my way. Want to go together? I knew that stationery shop had gone out of business last month. I didn't call him out on it, I just nodded. We walked our bikes in silence through the darkness. It wasn't until we emerged from the alley and reached the bottom of my building that he spoke. Don't overthink it. He looked at me, the streetlight casting tiny, fragmented glints in his clear eyes. Some things you can't avoid. My heart sank. There was a hidden meaning in his words. Thank you, Jinyan. Go on up, I'll watch until you're inside. I locked my bike and turned to go upstairs. As soon as I put down my backpack, my dad came out with a steaming bowl of celery and beef dumplings. Eat up, they just came out of the pot. He asked cautiously, did you not come back with Xiaofang today? I poked at the dumplings and mumbled a vague Did you fight? No, Dad. I just wanted to come back early to study. He didn't ask again. He just sighed and turned into the kitchen. I finished the dumplings, took the bowl to the kitchen, and happened to glance downstairs. Xie Jinyan hadn't left yet. He was leaning against a lamppost, looking up at my window, lost in thought. On the other side, in the shadow of the flower bed, a familiar figure crouched on the ground. Shu Fang. A faint red glow flickered in his hand. A cigarette. When did he learn to smoke? In my past life. He didn't pick it up until the 5th year of our marriage. When his company was under the most pressure, he took 2 fierce drags, then crushed the cigarette viciously against the ground. Suddenly, he clutched his stomach, bending over in pain, cold sweat beading on his forehead. He staggered to his feet, his steps unsteady, and hurried toward his own building. The ingredient in the milk tea had kicked in. I pulled the curtains shut, but my heart pounded uncontrollably. That night, nightmares haunted me. I was back on that cliff again. He pried my fingers off one by one, his eyes wild and satisfied. Lin Qingyu, this is what you owe Man. Go down and atone for her. I jolted awake, drenched in cold sweat, my pajamas soaked through. The phantom pain of the fall still throbbed in my bones. I got out of bed barefoot to get a drink of water, and somehow found myself at the window again. 3 in the morning, dead silent. Below my building, Shu Fang stood motionless like a statue. He was looking up, his gaze fixed on my window. That posture, those eyes, they were filled with obsession and malice. He didn't look like an 18-year-old boy at all. He looked like a vengeful ghost crawling back from hell, steeped in endless regret and venom. He had been reborn 203. The next day was the college entrance exam. I walked out of the house with dark circles under my eyes, feeling drained. My dad called out from the balcony, Qingyu, aren't you waiting for Shu Fang? I shook my head, hopped on my bike, and sped off. I was afraid that if I looked at the grey hair at my dad's temples any longer, I'd start crying. In my past life, at the wedding, he had placed my hand in Shu Fang's, telling Him to love me as much as he loved my mom. How could he have known that the son-in-law he'd so carefully chosen would be the one to push his beloved daughter off a cliff? Outside the exam hall, the crowd was packed, the atmosphere tense. I spotted Shu Fang and Song Manman in the crowd right away. Song Manman was on her tiptoes, affectionately adjusting Shu Fang's collar, her face sweet and shy. Shu Fang bowed his head, letting her fuss over him, but his eyes slid past her and landed squarely on me. That look was dark and heavy, a blatant warning and scrutiny. The students around them whispered and pointed. See that? The real deal's here. Lin Qingyu doesn't stand a chance. She was still spreading rumors yesterday about Song Manman poisoning her. Shameless. And she dares to show up today. If I were her, I wouldn't have the nerve to face them. The words buzzed in my ears like flies. I put on my earphones, expressionless, shutting out all the noise. The bell rang for entry. Shu Fang was the last one into the exam hall. As he passed my seat, he paused. He looked terrible. Dark circles under his eyes, pale lips, clearly not having slept well. He glanced at the small photo of my mom pinned to my chest, and his eyes grew incredibly complicated. I reached up and gently touched my mom's warm smile in the photo. The restless heart that had been pounding because of him miraculously calmed down. Mom, this time, I won't let anyone hurt me again. I'll live well, carrying your hopes with me. The first exam was Chinese. The essay topic was my weakness and my armor. I wrote about my mom. I wrote about how she held me as a little girl, saying that our Qingyu would one day get into Tsinghua or Peking University. Write about how she stormed into the school when I was being mocked as a motherless wild child, charging in like a lioness protecting her cub. By the end of it, tears uncontrollably splashed onto the test paper, blurring a small patch of ink. I could clearly feel that piercing gaze behind me, which hadn't left since the exam began. After the exam ended, Xie Jinyan and my deskmate Xiao Ya flanked me on either side. Qingyu, any plans after the exam? Want to go on a graduation trip? Xie Jinyan asked. I might have to work a summer job, I replied. Where? I'll come with you, Xiao Ya teased. Xie, the top student, you want to taste the struggles of the common folk too. Qingyu, look, his face is red. Before I could turn to look, a cold voice sounded behind me. Why didn't you wait for me last night? It was Shu Fang. I didn't know when he'd appeared behind us, his face even darker than in the exam hall. I couldn't be bothered with him and grabbed Xiao Ya to leave, but he stepped forward, blocking my path. I'm talking to you, Lin Qingyu. Are you saying we can't even be friends anymore? He clenched his fists, veins bulging on the back of his hands. Song Manman ran over from a distance, calling out in a sugary voice, Shu Fang. I looked up at him, my voice low but clear enough for every bystander to hear. Shu Fang, what makes you so sure I'd even want to be your friend? His face instantly flushed a deep, ugly red, as the golden boy who'd never faced public humiliation. This was new to him. Lin Qingyu, you. He raised his hand, as if to slap me, just like he had countless times in our past life during arguments. Song Manman arrived just in time, grabbing his arm and pulling it down. Shu Fang, how did the exam go? She tilted her face up, smiling innocently. The malice in Shu Fang's eyes vanished instantly, replaced by a doting tenderness. Had an upset stomach last night. Didn't rest well. Just average. Song Manman covered her mouth with a giggle. Even your average is way better than mine. She turned to Xie Jinyan with a concerned look. Jinyan, how about you? Did you sleep well last night? Shu Fang said you had an upset stomach too. What's up with you two? Planning to get sick together? Xie Jinyan smiled meaningfully. Who knows? Maybe we're connected. He tugged at my sleeve. Come on, let's not be a 1,000-watt light bulb here. I nodded and turned. One step in, I realized my shoelace was untied. Just as I bent down, a shadow moved faster than me. Shu Fang, right in front of everyone, including Song Manman, crouched down naturally and reached for my shoelace. The motion was so practiced, as if he'd done it 1,000 times. My blood ran cold in that instant. This habit started in our second year of marriage, because I was swollen in late pregnancy and couldn't bend easily. He'd crouch down every morning to tie my shoelaces before we left. For 8 years, rain or shine, even on the morning he pushed me off the cliff, he gently tied my hiking boots. So he really was back. That madman who killed me with his own hands and then played the devoted lover at my grave for 3 years. He was back with all his memories. Terror gripped my heart like an invisible hand. I jerked back, stumbling several steps as if electrocuted. Shu Fang. What are you doing? Song Manman's shrill, piercing scream rang out, laced with disbelief and tears. Everyone's eyes locked onto us, and a buzz of whispers exploded. Holy crap, what's going on? He's tying Lin Qingyue's shoelaces. Didn't he just go public with Song Manman? Cheating already. The academic god's world is beyond us. Is this some new kind of love triangle? Even Shu Fang himself froze. He remained in a half-crouch, his hand frozen awkwardly in midair, his face cycling through shades of white and red. After a few seconds, he forced out a smile uglier than tears, stood up, and rasped like he was mocking himself. Damn, old habits. He reached for Song Manman's hand. Man, it's not what you think. Enough. Song Manman yanked her hand away, tears streaming down like broken pearls. Big and heavy, she pointed at me, her voice trembling uncontrollably. What did you promise me? You said you'd cut ties with her, and this is how you do it. Shu Fang, do you think I'm blind? She sobbed, then spun around and bolted toward the alley outside the school. Everything was exactly like the last life. That fight, that run at the alley's entrance, a bicycle shot out at full speed. The boy riding it was panicked, frantically squeezing the brakes. Watch out, bang. Song Manman was slammed to the ground by the bike, the back of her head smashing hard against the sharp edge of a concrete step. Blood instantly gushed from her hair. Man, Shu Fang lunged at her like a madman, trembling hands reaching for her limp body on the ground. He turned back, his bloodshot eyes fixed on me with a glare. The same look he gave me on the cliff when he pried my fingers off. He screamed at me, at the stunned crowd, like a wild beast. What are you staring at? Call an ambulance. He lifted the unconscious Song Manman, staggering to his feet, holding her like the only treasure in his life. As he passed me, he stopped, he lowered his head, and in a voice only the two of us could hear, he spat out each word with venom. Lin Qingyu. Why did you come back? Wasn't ruining me once enough? You have to do it again. Do you want me dead that badly? His voice was filled with insane hatred and a trace of desperate sorrow I couldn't understand. My mind went blank, my hands and feet ice cold. He remembered everything. He wasn't here to repent. He was here to claim my life, because when I died in my past life, I dragged him into the abyss with me. 05. The ambulance's siren grew closer, piercing the afternoon calm. Song Manman was lifted onto a stretcher, Shu Fang gripping her hand tightly as he climbed in with her. From start to finish, he never looked at me again, but his question lingered in the air like a curse. Wrapping around me, police arrived quickly to take statements. Xie Jinyan, Xiao Ya, and a few other classmates were questioned as witnesses. I recounted the whole incident exactly as it happened, including Shu Fang crouching to tie my shoelace and Song Manman running off in a fit of emotion. The officer recorded it, occasionally glancing up at me with a hint of scrutiny. So, they argued because of you. I nodded. You could say that. And what's your relationship with Shu Fang? We used to be friends, and now, I paused, speaking each word deliberately. We're enemies. The officer's pen stopped, staring at me in surprise. I didn't explain. Some hatreds cross life and death, beyond words. By the time I left the station, dusk had fallen. Xiao Ya looked worried. Qingyu, are you okay? You just said, enemies. What happened between you and Shu Fang? I shook my head. Nothing. I just finally saw things clearly. Xie Jinyan had been standing silently nearby, only speaking now, his voice heavy. I'll walk you home. On the way, none of us spoke. Just before we reached my place, Xie Jinyan suddenly asked, Qingyu, do you believe in fate? I froze. He added, if everything is predetermined, would you fight it? I watched him. Under the streetlight, the sharp lines of his profile were taut, his eyes carrying a weight I couldn't decipher. I believe humans can conquer fate, I replied. If fate deals you a bad hand, you play it like a royal flush. He seemed to exhale in relief, the faintest curve tugging at his lips. Me too. After the college entrance exam, I didn't join the others for parties or trips. Xiao Ya, and I picked up summer jobs at a newly opened bubble tea shop in the city center. Life was a blur of business, and I deliberately avoided thinking about Shu Fang or Song Manman. Occasionally, I'd catch snippets from classmates. Song Manman had a concussion and spent half a month in the hospital, but she was out of danger. Shu Fang bombed his exam. His results were abysmal. In contrast, Xie Jinyan became the top science student in our city, Song Manman's scores were so pathetic she didn't even make the cutoff for a first-tier university. Her mom was a teacher, and the scandal spread like wildfire. Through the school, everyone said her usual grades were inflated, that her mom had been spoon-feeding her answers. Everything had veered subtly off course from my past life. That evening, just as the shop was about to close, an uninvited guest showed up, Shu Fang. He'd lost a lot of weight, his eyes sunken, stubble shadowing his jaw. He looked wrecked, gloomy. He didn't glance at the menu, just stared at me as I worked behind the counter. Xiao Yue nudged my arm and whispered, "Bad news is here." I ignored him, wiping down tables, ready to clock out, but he walked right up to me, blocking my path. "We need to talk," he said, his voice hoarse and raw. "There's nothing to talk about between us, Lin Qingyu." He grabbed my wrist, his grip so tight it felt like he'd crush my bones. "Do you have to be like this? Is this really where we end up?" I yanked my hand free, my gaze ice cold. "Shu Fang, between us, it ended the moment you pushed me off that cliff." I expected shock or rage from him. Instead, he just stared at me, his eyes slowly reddening. Then he laughed, a bitter, self-mocking sound. "Yeah, I pushed you, but do you know that after you fell, I jumped too?" 06. My brain went blank, a deafening buzz drowning out everything. He jumped? No way. In my past life, I'd clung to him with everything I had, trying to drag him down with me. But in that split second of falling, I clearly felt my collar rip as he broke free. I studied his face, searching for any trace of a lie, but all I saw was endless pain and bottomless regret. "I don't believe you." I heard my own voice tremble. "You don't believe me?" His laugh turned even more hollow. "Lin Qingyu, you only ever believe what you want to believe. I chased you for 8 years, married you, treated you like a queen. Couldn't you feel that? And because of Song Manman, because of 1 cup of bubble tea, you sentenced me to death. What was I to you, really?" His accusations hit me like poisoned daggers, stabbing deep into my heart. Yeah, he was good to me, so good that everyone envied me for marrying love, so good that even I bought it. But what was that goodness worth against that fatal shove? Your goodness, was it just to make killing me hurt more, make me more desperate? I sneered. "Shu Fang, stop acting. Aren't you tired?" "I am." My words hit him like a physical blow. His body jerked violently, his face turning ashen. "Acting," he muttered to himself. "In your eyes, those 8 years, all of it was just acting." Suddenly, he snapped, grabbing my shoulders and shaking me hard. "Lin Qingyu, look me in the eyes. Tell me, what part of this was acting? Getting up at 6 every morning to cook you porridge? Was that acting? Running 3 blocks in the middle of the night to buy you medicine when your stomach hurt? Was that acting? Using my hands to warm your belly during your period? Was that acting? 8 years, over 3,000 days and nights, in your eyes, was all of it just goddamn acting?" His roar drew stares from passers-by. Xiao Yue rushed over and shoved him hard. "Shu Fang, what the hell are you doing? Let her go." He shook me so hard my vision blurred, my stomach churning violently. I pushed him off, steadying myself against a nearby table, barely holding back the urge to vomit. "Enough," I said, my voice weak, whether it was real or fake. "It doesn't matter to me anymore, Shu Fang. We're even." He laughed like it was the biggest joke he'd ever heard. "Lin Qingyu, you dragged me down with you to die, and now you say we're even. Do you have any idea? Because of you, my entire life is ruined, my top exam score, my future, everything, all gone. And now, you want to destroy me a second time." His logic was as predatory as ever. He killed me. I had the right to take him down with me. Him jumping off that cliff was his own choice. Why should he pin all the blame on me? "Your future was destroyed by you," I said coldly, staring him down. "Drinking that spiked milk tea Song Manman gave you the night before the college entrance exam. That was your choice. Choking under pressure and messing up the test because you were guilty and sick. That was your problem. Fighting with me over that green tea bitch Song Manman, causing her to get hit by a car. That was your stupidity, Shu Fang, from start to finish. The only person who ruined you was yourself." With every word I spoke, his face paled a shade. By the end, he was swaying on his feet, like he might collapse any second. The store manager came out, frowning. "Sir, we're closing. Please leave." Shu Fang didn't move, he just stared at me, his eyes churning with emotions I couldn't read. After a long moment, he asked, "What if?" I said, "I regret it." "What if I said, if I could do it over, I wouldn't want anyone else. Just you. Too late, I spat. Grabbing Xiao Ya and walking past him out of the milk tea shop. And Shu Fang, don't act so noble, it's not that you don't want anyone else, it's that you can't have anything anymore. His body froze in place, like a statue weathered by time. Even after we'd walked far away, I could still feel his gaze glued to my back. When I got home, my dad was watching TV. He turned it off the moment he saw me. Qingyu, did you eat? Yeah, Dad, today. Shu Fang's parents came by, he said, his expression heavy. My heart sank. What did they say? What else? Their precious son bombed his exams, and they wanted you to go talk to him. Said you two grew up together, had a good relationship, that he'd listen to you. Dad snorted. I shot that down. I told them Qingyu is busy filling out her own college applications. She doesn't have time to meddle in other people's business. Besides, what's his bad exam score got to do with Qingyu? If they can't raise their own kid right, don't go shifting the blame onto others. A warmth spread through my chest. I walked over and hugged him from behind. Dad, thank you. Silly girl, what's there to thank me for? He patted my hand. By the way, have you decided where you're applying? Yeah, I'm going to Hangzhou. Hangzhou, he sounded surprised. That far? I thought you'd pick Beijing. He didn't finish the sentence. What he left unsaid was that Shu Fang had always aimed for universities in Beijing. I want a change of scenery, I said softly. The farther from home, the faster I can grow up. Dad was silent for a long time. Finally, he sighed. All right, our Qingyu has grown up and has her own mind. If your mother were still here, she'd be proud of you too. On the day I submitted my college applications, I ran into Shu Fang again at the school gate. He looked even more haggard than last time. Unshaven, his white t-shirt wrinkled. When he saw me, a flicker of light sparked in his eyes, and he hurried over. Qingyu, I kept my gaze straight ahead and walked past him. He followed, chattering incessantly. Qingyu, listen to me. What happened in the last life wasn't what you think. I pushed you down because I was out of my mind back then. I thought Man's death was all your fault, and I was blinded by hatred. It wasn't until I jumped that I realized. I can't live without you, really. Qingyu, I applied to a university in Hangzhou. Let's go back to how we were. Okay. His voice was pleading, scraping the bottom of the barrel. Passing students stared at us with strange looks. I stopped and turned around. Shu Fang, I'm sick of hearing this. Do whatever you want, just stop bothering me. I turned to leave, but he suddenly grabbed me from behind. I won't let go. Lin Qingyu, you're not going anywhere in this life. You have to stay by my side. His arms locked around me like iron hoops, squeezing until it hurt. I struggled hard, but I couldn't break free. A wave of nausea surged from my stomach. Let her go, a cold voice cut through. Xie Jinyan had appeared out of nowhere. He grabbed Shu Fang's arm, his eyes icy enough to freeze steel. Shu Fang, have some dignity. When Shu Fang saw Xie Jinyan, the madness in his eyes intensified. You again, Xie Jinyan, are you a fucking ghost that won't leave me alone? What happens between Qingyu and me is none of your damn business. Her business is my business. Xie Jinyan said each word deliberately, using his strength to pry Shu Fang's arms off me. He pulled me behind him, shielding me. Shu Fang, you don't have the right to touch her anymore. Two equally outstanding young men faced off under the sun, the atmosphere crackling with tension, and I was the spark that ignited it all. I stepped out from behind Xie Jinyan and looked at Shu Fang's face. Twisted with jealousy and rage, it struck me as bitterly ironic. In my past life, I dreamed of seeing him jealous over me. Now that I saw it, it only made me sick. I pulled out my phone and pressed play. A clear recording echoed from the speaker. It was from the class farewell dinner. The moment Song Man toasted me publicly, demanding Shu Fang confirm whether the milk tea was poisoned, and Shu Fang's unequivocal reply, I had no physical reaction whatsoever. Then I played the second recording. It was from a voice recorder I had hidden in Shu Fang's dorm room. The conversation between him and his roommate played out. Damn, bro, you're a beast. You were shitting your brains out all night, and you still aced the exam today. Don't even mention it. It's all that milk tea Song Man gave me. No idea what she put in it, but it nearly killed me. Then why the hell did you cover for her at the farewell dinner? What else was I supposed to do? Let her lose face in front of the whole class? The two recordings looped in the quiet schoolyard. Shu Fang's face drained of color in an instant. More and more students gathered around. all hearing the content. Their gazes at Xu Fang were filled with contempt and mockery. Holy shit, I'm gonna puke, two-faced much, covering for his side piece, lying in public. And then framing Lin Qingyu. What a piece of trash. Drinking that spiked boba tea before the college entrance exam gave me diarrhea and ruined my performance. Isn't that just? Reaping what you sowed. How dare she blame anyone else? I used to think he was fooled by Song Manman, but now it's clear he knew everything all along. He's a total scumbag, each word cut like a knife, flaying Xu Fang's pathetic shred of self-esteem to the bone. He stood there, lips trembling, unable to utter a single syllable. He looked at me, his eyes filled with shock and disbelief, as if he couldn't fathom how I had become so calculating. I pocketed my phone and stared at his ashen face, enunciating every word. Xu Fang, hear that? This is your so-called deep affection, your so-called trust. You weren't blinded. You knew everything. You just weighed the pros and cons and chose to sacrifice me to salvage that laughable relationship with Song Manman, so spare me your disgusting act of regret. You don't deserve it. With that, I didn't spare him another glance. I grabbed Xie Jinyan and turned to leave. Behind us, Xu Fang's utterly broken roar echoed. Over the next few days, those two recordings spread like wildfire through every class group chat. Xu Fang and Song Manman became the laughingstock of the entire grade. Word had it that Song Manman's mother, upon learning the truth, stormed over to Xu Fang's house in a fury, cursing him for ruining her daughter's reputation. The two families completely fell out. As for Xu Fang, he vanished without a trace. He never came looking for me again, nor did he show up anywhere in anyone's sight. I relished the peace. Every day, Xie Jinyan and I went to the library together, preparing for the upcoming college life. He wasn't a man of many words, but he always knew when to hand me a cup of warm water or a piece of chocolate. Being with him felt comfortable, reassuring. It was a sense of being respected and cherished that I had never experienced with Xu Fang. One day, as we were leaving the library, Xiao Ye called me in a panic. Qingyu, oh no, you have to check our high school's forum right now. I opened the forum. A bold red highlighted post was pinned at the top. ***, massive scandal exposed. The truth behind academic god Xu Fang and school beauty Song Manman's car accident. ***, inside. An anonymous user detailed everything that happened on the day of the exam. From Xu Fang tying my shoelaces to Song Manman's emotional outburst and her running off, right up to the car hitting her. At the end of the post, a hospital diagnosis report was attached. ***, diagnosis, mild concussion, right knee soft tissue contusion. The poster sneered in summary, some people really know how to play the game. First, they spread rumors about poisoning. When that fails, they deliberately flirt with someone's boyfriend to provoke an emotional breakdown, leading to a car accident tragedy. TSK. With this level of scheming, it's a waste they're not starring in *empresses in the palace *. Beneath it, hundreds of replies were all cursing me. Holy shit, the most venomous woman alive, so Song Manman was set up by her. This is terrifying. Having someone like this among us gives me chills. Lin Qingyu, come out and apologize. Give Song Manman justice. I stared at the vile insults, trembling with rage. Xie Jinyan took my phone, skimmed through it, and his face darkened. Don't look at it, he said, turning off the phone. It's Song Manman. No one else could get that diagnosis report. Of course, I knew it was her. She couldn't let it go, trying to land one last bite and drag me down for good. Call the police. Xie Jinyan said, this is defamation. I shook my head. Calling the police wouldn't help. The poster was anonymous, making it a hassle to trace, and even if we eventually found them, the damage to my reputation would already be done. Then what do we do? Just let her sling mud like this? Xiao Ye was furious. I took a deep breath, forcing myself to calm down. She wants to play the public opinion game. Fine, I'll play it to the end. I grabbed my phone again and replied to that post under my real name with a single line. Yuri, right, I'm a bad person. But guess what? Would a bad person install a dashcam on her own bike? At everyone. Video evidence will be released tomorrow at 8 p.m. sharp 09. My reply hit like a depth charge, instantly detonating the entire forum. The tide turned in seconds. Holy shit, a dashcam. For real. This is gonna be good. I knew it wasn't that simple. Waiting for 8 p.m. tomorrow. Front row seats, popcorn, peanuts, Soda for sale. Song Man must have seen it too. She deleted her post almost immediately, but it was too late. Screenshots were already everywhere. Her guilty conscience only made everyone more convinced I had the evidence. The next day, my phone nearly exploded. Countless classmates messaged me, some just curious, some probing. Even Song Man's friends trying to fish for what video I had. I ignored them all. At 7:50 p.m., I got a call from an unknown number. It was Song Man. Her voice wasn't the sweet, delicate tone she usually used. It was trembling with panic and false bravado. Lin Qingyu, what the hell are you trying to do? Delete that post. Do you hear me? I let out a soft laugh. Scared now? You were pretty cocky when you posted that slander about me, weren't you? I didn't. That wasn't me. She was still lying through her teeth. Oh, really? I said slowly. Then you'd better pray my dashcam just happened to break and caught nothing. Silence on the other end. After a long pause, her voice came through, choked with tears. Qingyu, we're classmates, after all. Do you have to be so ruthless? You already ruined Xu Fang. Now you want to ruin me too? Please, just let me go. She started playing the victim, putting on the waterworks, her favorite trick, but it didn't work on me anymore. Song Man, the only person you've ever ruined is yourself. 8 o'clock is almost here. You've got 5 minutes to figure out how to explain this to your parents. I hung up and blocked her at exactly 8 p.m. I didn't release any video, because I never had a dashcam. In the first place, it was all a bluff. Instead, I posted a new thread on the forum. The post was simple, just one screenshot. It was a text message from Song Man, begging me to let her off. Qingyu, I'm sorry, I'm really sorry, I shouldn't have posted that slander. Please delete the video. Don't destroy me. I said nothing, but that screenshot said more than 1,000 words. The forum crashed. Everyone understood now. The post accusing me was a setup, Song Man's own little drama, and her guilty conscience had made her confess. Dumbest villain of the year. She literally nailed herself. I'm dying. Lin Qingyu is a legend. Caught a fish with no bait. That psychological warfare was 666. Song Man is socially dead now. Right, serves her right. The whole circus ended with Song Man's total defeat. I heard she locked herself in her room for days, until her parents finally dragged her away to another city. And me, I finally got the peace I'd been craving the day before I left. 4 Hangzhou, Xie Jinyan asked to meet me. We walked along the river, the evening breeze soft against our skin. Qingyu, he said suddenly, there's something I've been wanting to tell you. Actually, I've been reborn too. I stopped mid-step, my heart skipping a beat. I'd suspected it, but hearing it out loud still hit me like a freight train. He looked at me, a flicker of guilt in his eyes. In the last life, after Xu Fang pushed you off, I jumped too. I couldn't save you, and I couldn't catch him. All 3 of us died on that mountain. So in this life, when I saw you hand Xu Fang that milk tea, I knew you were different too. I don't know what you've been through, but I just want to protect you. I never want to see you hurt again. So that cup of milk tea was the starting point of 3 people's rebirth. So in the last life, I wasn't the only one who fell into the abyss. I looked at him, my eyes burning. Thank you, Jinyan. Thank you for being a beam of light that illuminated my world in my darkest moments. He smiled, just like the first time we met, clean and gentle. So, as repayment, he said, pulling a small box from his pocket and kneeling on one knee before me, Lin Qingyu, would you be willing to let me have a place in your future? Inside the box lay a simple ring, nothing extravagant, no precious diamonds, just a plain silver band with 2 tiny letters engraved on the inside. Kanjie, Qingyu, and Jinyan. The river wind lifted my hair and stirred my heart. I looked at him, at his clear, sincere eyes, where my reflection shimmered alongside the countless stars. I didn't answer right away. Instead, I asked him a question. Jinyan, if I told you that in the last life, I was married, even had a child that never got the chance to be born, would you still want me? This was the deepest scar on my heart, the shackle I couldn't shake off. I thought he might hesitate, might pull back, but he just looked at me quietly, then shook his head with unwavering resolve. Qingyu, I love the you right now, this brave, smart, independent Lin Qingyu. Everything from the past, good or bad, shaped who you are today. I'm grateful for it, but we live in the present and move toward the future. As for the child, he paused, a trace of pain flickering in his eyes. That was his sin, not your burden. If you're willing, We can have many, many adorable babies in the future. My tears fell, uncontrollably, not from sadness, but from being moved and set free. So there really was someone who could accept every part of me unconditionally, so I, too, could have pure love. Without any schemes or strings attached, I reached out my hand to him and nodded firmly. I do, he smiled, slipped the ring gently onto my ring finger, then stood up and pulled me into a tight embrace. In that moment, I felt like a ship that had been drifting for so long, finally finding a harbor to dock. 2 years later, Hangzhou, Zhejiang University campus, Xiejinyan, and I walked hand in hand down the tree-lined path, sunlight filtering through the leaves, casting dappled shadows. My belly was already slightly rounded, carrying a new life within. Our life was peaceful and happy. Sometimes I still thought of Shufang. I heard he didn't go to Hangzhou in the end but repeated a year. The next year, he got into an ordinary university in Beijing and vanished completely from our world. I didn't know how he was doing, and I didn't want to know. Some people, some things, once missed, they're gone for a lifetime. 2 lifetimes of entanglement finally came to a perfect close at this moment. One day, I received an international package. Opening it, I found a postcard and a diary. The postcard showed a view of the Alps, the handwriting elegant. It was from Song Manman Qingyu. I hope this letter finds you well. I'm studying abroad in Switzerland now, pursuing my favorite subject, oil painting. When I finally started living for myself, I realized how vast and beautiful the world truly is. The old me was like someone trapped in a shell, blinded by jealousy and resentment, making countless mistakes. I'm sorry. I wish you happiness. I smiled faintly, tucked the postcard away, and opened that diary. The diary was old, its pages yellowed, but the handwriting was achingly familiar. Shu Fang's *date, sunny *today, Qingyu agreed to be with me. I'm so happy, I'll cherish her for a lifetime. *date, rainy Qingyu said she hates rainy days because her mother left on one. From now on, every rainy day, I'll be by her side. *date, cloudy fought with Qingyu today, over Manman. I don't know what to do, torn between the duty of a childhood bond and a love that cuts to the bone. I feel like I'm splitting apart. The last entry was written before he jumped off the cliff. Qingyu, I'm sorry. I love you, always have, but I owe Manman a life. If there's a next life, let me wait for you instead. Okay. I closed the diary, my heart eerily calm. So he really did love me, and he really did destroy everything we had because of that ridiculous sense of duty. But so what? The love was real, and so was the hate. The damage was done, and it could never be undone. I placed the diary and the report on the poisoned milk tea I never got to deliver into the fireplace. The roaring flames devoured every trace of the past. Xiejinyan wrapped his arms around me from behind, his chin resting lightly on my head. What are you thinking? I turned around, stood on my tiptoes, and kissed him, thinking that, honey, I'm hungry, and the baby is hungry too. He laughed, ruffled my hair, his eyes brimming with affection. All right, let's go home. Outside, the sun was just right, and the world was at peace. And I, at last, had found my quiet harbor in this life. Next, listen to the next story. In my previous life, my childhood sweetheart Jiang Chang came to me, wanting to give up the independent enrollment of Tsinghua and Peking University to go to an unknown second-tier university with the campus beauty. Thinking about his future, I secretly told his mother about this. In the end, Jiang Chang had no choice but to reluctantly attend Tsinghua and Peking University, graduate successfully, and take over the family business. But within a few years, after gradually taking control of the Jiang group, he launched a frenzied revenge against my family. The Zhu family went bankrupt, assets were restructured, my father was thrown into prison, my mother was burdened with massive debts, toiling day after day, and ultimately died from the malicious revenge of an enemy. And my family was destroyed, and I was left all alone. I asked Jiang Chang, why? Jiang Chang only looked at me with eyes full of resentment and venom, saying, if it weren't for you, I wouldn't have lost her. I see. I closed my eyes with regret. If I had another chance, I would never interfere in Jiang Chang's life. Fortunately, I was reborn before the college entrance exam. This time, even if Jiang Chang falls into the abyss, I won't intervene in the slightest. Arching Nan confessed her feelings to me. She said she's liked me for 3 years and hopes to be with me. Now, as long as we apply to the same university, we can be together forever. This is great. A familiar voice echoed in my ears once again. I blinked, a bit unaccustomed to the light before my eyes. My childhood friend, Jiang Chang, was still excitedly recounting how the school beauty had confessed her feelings to him. I've waited 3 years. I've waited a full 3 years. Finally, her confession came. It turns out we both had feelings for each other. She's liked me for a long time. The top student in the grade, at this moment, was pitifully lacking in vocabulary. This also shows, from another angle, just how excited Jiang Chang was. I sneered coldly. In my previous life, Jiang Chang had boasted to me in exactly the same way. At that time, I earnestly advised him to accept the independent enrollment from Tsinghua and Peking University, and after successfully obtaining his degree, to inherit the Jiang family. The Jiang family was one of the top families in the capital. Once Jiang Chang inherited it, what woman wouldn't be available to him? Yet not only did he refuse to listen, but he also believed I was jealous of their relationship and wanted to break them apart. I had no choice but to go directly to Jiang Chang's mother and tell her about the matter, so Jiang's mother took swift action, locking Jiang Chang at home for the entire summer vacation, only letting him go after making sure he had completed the independent enrollment process for Tsinghua and Peking University. This also caused Jiang Chang to be separated from the school beauty Wan Nannan for several years, and their relationship eventually fizzled out. But after Jiang Chang inherited the Jiang family, the first thing he did was launch a fierce retaliation against my Ju family. Before the powerful Jiang family, the Ju family was like a newly hatched chick, fragile and defenseless. The Ju family collapsed, underwent asset restructuring, my father was imprisoned, my mother was burdened with huge debts, lived in obscurity every day, and eventually died from malicious retaliation by our enemies. Even I couldn't remain untouched. After being blacklisted by the Jiang family, I couldn't find a single job. When I went to confront Jiang Chang, he personally pushed me down the building, causing my immediate death. The sensation of my entire body's bones and muscles shattering felt like a parasite clinging to my flesh, impossible to shake off. I shivered. Luckily heaven had given me a chance to start over this time. Even if Jiang Chang falls into the abyss, I won't interfere in the slightest. Jiang Chang stared at me for a long time without speaking, his expression subtly changing as he murmured, "Arching, are you thinking Nan Nan isn't good enough for me? So you disagree with this?" I shook my head. How could that be? As the saying goes, life is precious, but love is even more valuable. You've waited so hard to find your love, how could you give up so easily? Jiang Chang nodded excitedly upon hearing this. Exactly, that's what I think too. It's just that I'm afraid my family won't agree. Otherwise, Ching, could you? Was he trying to get me to act as his matchmaker? I'm not that stupid. Chang, this won't do. Think about it. This is the love you've waited 18 years for. If everything is done through others, how can there be any sincerity? Seems, kind of. Makes sense. Jiang Chang was speechless. But I'm afraid my mom won't agree. After all, with Wan Nannan's grades, she could only apply to an ordinary second-tier university. Not only did Jiang Chang excel academically, but he was also admitted early through Tsinghua and Peking University's independent recruitment program. As long as he completes the enrollment process, he is already considered an official student of Tsinghua and Peking University. How could the Jiang family allow him to lower his status? I sighed. What a pity. If Nannan's grades were a bit better, you could have negotiated with Tsinghua and Peking University to let her study with you. Too. Jiang Chang's expression changed slightly. Indeed, if Wan Nannan could have scored above the first-tier university admission line, he could have negotiated with Tsinghua and Peking University. However, Wan Nannan's score barely met the second-tier university admission line, and being able to apply to an ordinary second-tier university was already considered a stroke of luck. I patted Jiang Chang on the shoulder, saying, "Chang, this is a very difficult path, but which true love path isn't difficult? Are you ready?" Jiang Chang seemed to ignite some determination. He nodded seriously. "I am ready. No matter how many difficulties and obstacles I face, I will stay with Nannan." I nodded. "That's good. I wish you both all the best." After turning around and leaving, a sneer appeared on my face. Jiang Group is such a huge business empire that it will never allow an ordinary second-tier university graduate to inherit it. Jiang Chang, since you've chosen to follow your true love, then be prepared to lose everything. On the other hand, the Jiang family learned that Jiang Chang estimated his score at 726 and had passed the early independent admission of Tsinghua and Peking University, making it almost certain that he would get into one of them. Even the main branch of the Jiang family, which is prosperous and produces many talented individuals, has only had a few students admitted to Tsinghua and Peking University. Therefore, the Jiang family takes this matter very seriously. I heard they've already started preparing for the celebration banquet. At that time, they will invite all the prominent families in the capital to witness the birth of another capable younger generation of the Jiang family. I watch all this with a cold eye. The more pompous they make it, the better. When the Jiang family loses face, Jiang Chang will naturally no longer be tolerated. Don't blame me for being heartless. After Jiang Chang took over the Jiang family in his previous life, he resorted to all sorts of despicable tactics against the Zhu family, his former business partners. The rest of the Jiang family turned a blind eye and showed no intention of stepping in to help. Under the Jiang family's retaliation, the Zhu family naturally went bankrupt within half a year. In other words, everything Jiang Chang did to the Zhu family was tacitly approved by the Jiang family. I used to foolishly consider them as close friends and family, but it turned out to be just my wishful thinking. I will never be sentimental again in this lifetime. My phone rang, and when I picked it up, I saw it was my mom calling. Seeing that familiar name, I couldn't help but feel a lump in my throat, and even my voice sounded choked up when I answered, "Mom." My mom was startled. "Oh, what's wrong, Ching Ching? Did someone bully you?" I sniffled. "No, I was just watching a TV show." "Sigh, you child, you scared me. Did you estimate your score? Roughly how many points can you get? What schools can you apply to? Are the schools good, not bad? Applying to Tsinghua or Peking University shouldn't be a problem. Although my score isn't as freakishly high as Jiang Chang's, at least I'm not love-struck." My mom was somewhat pleased to hear this. I knew my Ching Ching would do well. It just so happens that the Jiang family's boy is also planning a college celebration banquet. Why don't we have one too? I quickly stopped her. No, our Zhu family doesn't have that much influence in the capital. Since there's already a shining example ahead, let's not make a fool of ourselves. Just having a simple meal with the family will do. You're really something. Although our Zhu family isn't exactly prominent, we're still considered rising stars in our area. We can definitely gather 100 tables worth of guests. I laughed through my tears. Mom, just keep a low profile. If you have the money to host a banquet, why not just transfer it to me? Is my precious daughter short on cash? Mom will transfer it to you right away. Be a good girl. Don't cry, or Mom will feel sad. My mom seemed to have lied something, and now whatever I said, she didn't object. Okay, Mom. Less than half a minute after the call ended, my phone received a text message confirming the transfer. 5 million, no more, no less. But it was enough. I wiped the tears from the corner of my eyes. Now I was going to make good use of this money and do something big. 3. The Zhu family is also a unicorn-like presence in the cloud data industry. A small company focused on servers and data naturally cannot compare to the all-around development of the Jiang family. But as long as I don't provoke that madman Jiang Chang in this life and focus on developing myself, I might not be inferior to the Jiang family in the future. I don't know how Jiang Chang managed to slip fake accounts into Zhu's group in my previous life, or how he even got the tax bureau to come and investigate. In the end, my dad was framed with a trumped-up charge and sent to prison, and Zhu's group went bankrupt as a result. Since I've been given a second chance at life, I absolutely won't let this tragedy happen again. My dad was somewhat surprised to see me at the company. "Little ancestor, what are you doing here?" I grinned, getting familiar with the company environment in advance, preparing to take over the company later. Hearing this, my dad was taken aback for a moment, then laughed and scolded. "Little rascal, your old man isn't dead yet. Are you in such a hurry to inherit already?" I shook my head. I can't possibly cram at the last minute. Right, it's better to come early and get used to things. So what position do you want? Supervisor, manager, general manager? The positions my dad mentioned kept getting higher and higher. I stopped him. "I want to go to the finance department to manage the accounts." "What?" I repeated. "I want to go to the finance department to manage the accounts." "Oh, my dear Ching Ching, you can't just mess with that stuff. It could cause trouble. And the finance department is full of reports that make your head spin. What's so good about going there? How about I send you to the marketing department to have some fun? I nodded. Of course I know. I still want to go to the finance department. After all, in my previous life, I had already learned how powerful the accounts could be. Dad, you said the Jew family has so many talents in tax affairs. Are you still afraid I'll make some mess? Well, that's true, my dad pondered slightly, then nodded. All right, but you little rascal, let's make it clear first. You better not get me into trouble, otherwise, we'll all end up begging on the streets. Dad, don't worry. I'm just going to check out the procedures, so I can manage the company better later. I barely managed to dispel my dad's suspicions, and I quickly took office as the director of the finance department. As for this new director who suddenly arrived, everyone in the finance department looked at me with clear defiance. After all, everyone knew my relationship with the CEO. I cleared my throat lightly and solemnly said, "What do you all think is the most important department in Jew Group?" They paused for a moment, then someone raised their hand and asked, "Randy department." I shook my head. "No, marketing department. No, that's..." I looked around and said seriously, "It's the finance department." Hearing this, everyone looked somewhat surprised. They hadn't expected that I'd come straight in and give them such high praise. On second thought, they found it amusing. Was this little general manager Jew trying to flatter them? I smiled. The development prospects of a company require analyzing various data, and all that data is in the hands of the finance department. Can a project be carried out? Is it long-term or short-term? How much profit can it bring? And what drawbacks does it have? Only the finance department knows best. Right, everyone was stunned by what I said. I pressed on. Of course, the lifeblood of a company also lies in the finance department. If a company has financial problems, it definitely won't go far. If a rival company wants to secretly harm our company, tampering with the accounts is the easiest way. As I spoke, I carefully observed the expressions on everyone's faces. Some looked surprised, others disdainful, and still others seemed hesitant and uneasy, feeling guilty. I understood their reactions and then clapped my hands. All right, I'm just a kid who's recently finished the college entrance exam, and I'm here telling you what to do. I know you're not happy with that. Just do your own jobs and don't bother with me. I'm just here to get familiar with the process. Hearing this, everyone finally breathed a sigh of relief. If they were really to be managed by an 18-year-old, they wouldn't know how to carry out their work. Time quietly slipped away. Having worked at Jews for over half a month, I've pretty much figured out how things operate here. Simply put, my dad's mistake was giving the finance department too much freedom. I guess in his mind, the finance department is only useful for preparing reports. Right, this is a huge misconception. The finance department can make a company thrive, and it can also lead to its downfall. But on second thought, my dad comes from a technical background, so it's perfectly normal for him not to understand this. Come to think of it, he's always been the type to avoid trouble. If he can delegate something entirely to someone else, he naturally doesn't want to deal with it. This gave Jiang Chang in the previous life an opportunity to take advantage. But since I'm here in this life, I won't let the Jew family repeat the same mistakes. Based on my past life experience, I revised several management regulations and strictly controlled all sources and destinations of financial reports. Although the finance department had some complaints, they still carried out the changes. Come to think of it, it seems like I haven't heard from Jiang Chang in a long time. Now that the college entrance exam results have been released, the first batch of schools have opened their registration. I opened Moments and found that Jiang Changjing was traveling around the country with Wan Nannan in 20 days. They had traveled all over the country. Everywhere they went, they would take a sweet and affectionate photo together, as if the whole world could only accommodate the two of them. I couldn't help but find it a bit amusing, and silently gave a like from behind. It was precisely this praise that later caused me quite a bit of trouble, for the Jiang family still didn't know that Jiang Chang had already decided to give up attending Tsinghua or Peking University. They even scheduled the promotion banquet for the time right after the first round of admissions ended, so as soon as the acceptance letters arrived, they could hold a grand celebration. And Jiang Chang really was that heartless, only caring about playing outside, with no intention at all of explaining himself to his family. Having lived a life of comfort and indulgence since childhood made him develop a bad habit. He always thought that no matter what trouble he caused, Someone would always clean up his mess, but when it really comes to the Jiang family's reputation and development, does he really think the Jiang family will still protect him? My college entrance exam. Scores are out as well, 711 points. Although it's not as good as Jiang Chang's, I'm still quite satisfied. At least I made it past the Tsinghua and Peking University cutoff, though I can't choose too many majors after careful consideration. I finally chose a relatively less demanding major in business administration. He still found time to drop by the company during his spare time, just in case anything went wrong. When I received my acceptance letter, the Jiang family's college entrance banquet also started as scheduled. The Zhu family, as a unicorn company in cloud data, naturally received an invitation as well. Yet Jiang Chang was still sightseeing in Jiangnan when the moment arrived, showing no intention at all of hurrying back in the end. It was Jiang's mother who urgently sent a private jet to bring him back. Of course, Wan Nannan was also there at the school advancement banquet. As soon as Jiang's mother saw Wan Nannan, her expression instantly changed. "Son, why are you with this woman?" Jiang Chang said nonchalantly. "She's my girlfriend. What's wrong with me being with her?" "No, you shouldn't." Jiang's mother stopped talking. She glanced around at the prominent guests nearby and realized it wasn't the time to make a big scene. I know she looks down on Wan Nannan. After all, Wan Nannan has only a pretty face, her studies are average, and she lacks the grace of a proper young lady. She does have a pretentious, delicate little white flower appearance. This is exactly the kind of daughter-in-law that wealthy mothers-in-law despise the most. In my previous life, it was also Jiang's mother who sweet-talked me, saying that I was the daughter-in-law she liked the most. She made many promises and gave me a lot of sweet talk, just to trick me into playing the villain. In the end, she walked away clean, hiding her achievements and reputation. While I and the Zhu family were forced to bear Jiang Chang's wrath, I coldly smiled and picked up my teacup, hiding my expression. My dad was still bragging to his colleagues beside me. "My daughter, although she didn't do as well on the exam as that boy from the Jiang family, she's number one in my heart." He patted his chest. "You guys don't know yet. My daughter has already been accepted into Tsinghua and Peking University. The admission letters have already arrived." The people at the table raised their glasses in celebration upon hearing this. "Mr. Zhu, you have a worthy successor. Congratulations, indeed. Mr. Zhu, it's rare to see a girl so clever, with such an academic background. She's practically a living advertisement. It seems you'll be able to find a fine son-in-law." I frowned slightly but did not argue. After all, the timing isn't right yet. Whatever I say now, they'll just think I'm talking big. But my dad was quite unhappy and said, "Who says we have to get married? My daughter is so capable. Maybe she'll just give me a smart grandson directly, saving us the trouble of even having to recruit a son-in-law." The others at the dinner table didn't argue either, still going along with what he said. "Yes, hiring a son-in-law might even make him your family's money. It's better to just go abroad and have a good-looking, intelligent one. Over there." Jiang Chang hurriedly changed into formal attire to entertain the guests. Just as he was speaking, some commotion came from outside the door. Someone shouted, "Old Mr. Jiang is here." Upon hearing this, everyone stood up, picked up their wine glasses, and wanted to go say a word or two to this legendary figure, hoping to receive a few words of advice or perhaps, to gain his favor. The benefits would be endless. This old Mr. Jiang is always a character. Rumor has it that he has connections, strength, and an iron-fisted approach. That's how he managed to develop the Jiang family into what it is today. He has dozens of grandsons under his care, each wanting to inherit the Jiang family, but the final decision-maker is still old Mr. Jiang. The fact that old Mr. Jiang could come to attend Jiang Chang's college celebration banquet is enough to show how much he values Jiang Chang. A cold smile hung on my face. I really wonder what expression this old Mr. Jiang will have when he hears Jiang Chang voluntarily giving up Tsinghua and Peking University. Mother Jiang poked Jiang Chang excitedly. "Your great-uncle is here. Hurry up and go talk to him," Jiang Chang said reluctantly. "What's there to talk about? We barely see each other a few times a year. How can you talk like that, child? Whether you can inherit the Jiang family in the future all depends on your great-uncle's word." Jiang Chang showed disdain on his face. "I will definitely inherit the Jiang family in the future. Why rush now? It's not time to make my move yet." Seeing his expression, I could hardly hold back the corners of my mouth. Could this kid really think that just because he got into a second-tier university, Grandpa Jiang would still value him as much as in the previous life? Old Mr. Jiang exchanged a few casual pleasantries before walking over to Jiang Chang. Chang, you've done well. Which major at Tsinghua or Peking University did you apply for? Your great-uncle still has some connections and can introduce you to a good mentor, but Jiang Chang was destined to disappoint him. Grandpa, I didn't apply to Tsinghua or Peking University. 5. As soon as these words were spoken, the entire room erupted in an uproar. What? He didn't apply to Tsinghua or Peking University. Where did he go then? Abroad. With such good grades, why go abroad? Did Jiang Chang apply to another school? Old Mr. Jiang's smile faded slightly. Chang, which of the top 9 universities did you apply to? Although it wasn't Tsinghua or Peking University, he could still accept any of the top 9 institutions. Who knew? Jiang Chang suddenly pulled Wan Nannan to his side and announced loudly, "Everyone, this is my girlfriend Wan Nannan. I'm taking her with me to apply for Jingong University." As soon as these words were spoken, the entire hall fell silent. Even the murmurs disappeared. Everyone stared in shock toward Jiang Chang's direction, and old Jiang was so furious that his face turned pale and his mustache trembled. "What did you say? Say it again." Jiang Chang stared firmly at old Mr. Jiang. "Grandfather, I am certain that Wan Nannan is the only wife for me in this lifetime. She wants to take the exam for Jingong University, and I will also take the exam for Jingong University." Outrageous. Nonsense. You scored over 720 points, and you're applying for a second-tier university. Do you even know what you're saying? Before old Mr. Jiang could speak, Mrs. Jiang was already flushed with anger. She rushed forward and started fighting with Wan Nannan. "Is it this vixen who seduced you? That's why you want to apply to such a lousy school? It's no wonder Jiang's mother is so angry. With Wan Nannan's grades, even dreaming of attending Jingong University would be a stretch." She was able to get into this school entirely because Jiang Chang's scores were high enough. It must have been Jiang Chang who insisted on enrolling together with Wan Nannan, which is why Jingong University made an exception to admit her. Jiang Chang frowned and pulled his mother away. "Mom, don't talk about her like that. Nannan just isn't suited for studying, but she's a good person, very driven and hardworking." Bullshit. What's the use of being driven and hardworking? She only got into a second-tier university despite all that effort. Doesn't that just prove she's not capable? Just as it was about to turn into an argument, old Mr. Jiang tapped his cane on the floor. Jiang's mother immediately fell silent, lowering her head and not daring to look at him. Old Mr. Jiang glanced at Jiang Chang. "Have you thought it through? You want to go to Beijing University of Technology?" Jiang Chang straightened his back and declared, "Yes, in this lifetime, I only recognize Nannan." "Good, you've got guts." With that, old Mr. Jiang turned and walked away without another word. Jiang Chang was still beaming with pride, thinking it was his domineering charm that had influenced old Jiang, which is why old Jiang hadn't continued to make things difficult for him. But Jiang's mother knew exactly how serious this was. Terrified, she panicked and shouted, "Dad, don't listen to his nonsense. I'll have him repeat the year and reapply to Tsinghua and Peking University." Jiang Chang was still chattering from behind. "Mom, I'm not repeating the year. Don't bother with this." "Shut up, you idiot." Jiang's mother was fuming, but old Jiang had already disappeared without a trace. The atmosphere at the scene became very strange. A joyful event had turned out like this. The gossip-loving souls of everyone were burning. But in front of the Jiang family, no one dared to say even a word more. Everyone felt a bit awkward, and after just a few rounds of eating, they all put down their chopsticks and left the scene naturally. I also left. Before leaving, I glanced toward Jiang Chang's direction. He seemed to be arguing with his mother. Jiang Chang's face was full of fearlessness, forming a stark contrast with the look of frustration and disappointment on Jiang's mother's face. I couldn't help but find it somewhat amusing. Why bother arguing with Jiang Chang? Just let him follow his own path and sink into self-destruction. Unfortunately, Mother Jiang didn't understand this. My dad kept muttering beside me, "Has this Jiang boy gone crazy? Why not go to a top-tier university like Tsinghua or Peking, but instead apply to some crappy second-tier school, all just for a girl?" I smiled and said, "Some people value love more than anything else. If he chooses love, we can't really say anything. What kind of love is that?" "I think that young girl is anything but steady." Do you think she would still stick with Jiang Chang if he had no money? I completely agreed but didn't say anything. What happened afterward? I have no idea. All I know is that Jiang Chang never felt like updating his social media posts again, and the Jiang family was thrown into chaos because of this incident involving Jiang Chang. The reason is simple. The entire Jiang family believed that Jiang Chang's admission to Tsinghua or Peking University was a sure thing, so they invited many prominent figures from the capital to attend the banquet, but in the end, it was discovered that Jiang Chang hadn't even applied during the first-tier university enrollment period. In other words, even if he scored full marks, Tsinghua or Peking University wouldn't accept him now, unless Jiang Chang repeats his senior year and retakes the exams to get into Tsinghua or Peking University. He'll really have to go to that so-called Beijing University of Technology. But Jiang Chang was stubborn. He would rather starve himself at home in protest than go back to repeat the year, and for Wan Nannan, he kept threatening to jump off a building to find her. This scared Jiang's mother so much that she didn't dare lock him up anymore. In the end, with no other options left, Jiang's mother came to me again. Ching, you have the best relationship with A Chang. Please talk some sense into him. Auntie is begging you. Please persuade him. Make him stop being so stubborn. Okay, I watched her act with a cold eye. I did try to persuade her in my past life, but what good did it bring me? After Jiang Chang graduated and returned to take over the Jiang family, he launched a series of attacks against the Zhu family, and Jiang's mother saw it all, yet she did nothing and even secretly helped, simply because she felt I wasn't good enough for the Jiang family. In Mother Jiang's eyes, I'm nothing more than a tool. I won't do something thankless again. 6. I pretended to be helpless. Auntie, it's not that I don't want to help you. The legs belong to a Chang. I can't possibly break them for him. Right. Mother Jiang was speechless. Auntie just wants you to persuade him to repeat a year. After all, education is so important now. If he only gets into an ordinary second-tier university, he'll definitely not be able to inherit the Jiang family. I nodded, fully agreeing. Then have you talked to Jiang Chang? Did you tell him that if he continues to stubbornly refuse to listen, he'll have no more connection with the Jiang group in the future? Of course I did. But that boy, Sai, he always thinks he's bound to inherit the Jiang group. I can't convince him. I couldn't help but feel secretly pleased. Apparently, this Jiang Chang was still intoxicated by the glory of his high scores. Does he really think the Jiang family is already in his pocket? Unbeknownst to him, among the dozens of descendants of the Jiang family, there are still several who can match him in battle, and now, choosing to attend a second-tier university is simply self-sabotage. Still gloating over it, I sighed. Auntie, you've already said such harsh words, and he still won't listen. How could he possibly listen to what I have to say? Jiang's mother suddenly changed her expression, her tone low and serious. I saw A Chang's social media feed. You liked his post. You knew he was in a relationship, didn't you? With this kind of attitude, anyone who didn't know better would think I was Jiang Chang's mother. What does Jiang Chang ruining his own future by getting into a relationship have to do with me? I took a sip of tea, somewhat puzzled, and said, didn't you see it too? Jiang's mother was emotional. He blocked me. You clearly knew he was in a relationship, and he went on a trip with his girlfriend. Why didn't you tell me? I spread my hands. How was I supposed to know you were blocked? I looked completely innocent. Jiang's mother was speechless for a moment, then grew even angrier. You grew up with a Chang since childhood. I've always had my hopes on you, wanting you to be my daughter-in-law, but now some mysterious woman has taken your place, and you don't even have a reaction. You really disappoint me. I found it somewhat amusing. Can I really control who my son falls in love with? Failing to raise your child properly and blaming others, truly skillful tactics. I put down the cup in my hand. Sorry, Auntie, I still need to go help out at the company. I'll have to hang up now. I'll visit you another time when I have more free time. After saying that, I got up and left directly. Hearing my words, Mother Jiang was even more furious, trembling all over. You see, according to her plan, at this moment Jiang Chang should also be seeking a position at the Jiang family's company, striving to expand his own influence. Who would have thought that Jiang Chang, with his head full of romance, only cared about taking his girlfriend everywhere to have fun, showing none of his previous drive dues. My work at the company gradually got on track, and I also blended in well with the employees. They would all cheerfully call me Little Boss Jew. I heard that Little Jew is about to report To Tsinghua or Peking University soon. Is that true? I nodded. Wow, impressive. Little Jew, you can't judge a book by its cover. You're actually a top student at Tsinghua or Peking University. How are you talking? Be careful, or little Jew might dock your bonus later. No way, Mr. Jew is such a nice person. How could he deduct my bonus? I heard there's another young master from an aristocratic family in the capital, whose mind is completely gone. He was admitted to Tsinghua and Peking University, yet he actually gave up his studies for love. I really don't know what he was thinking. It seems to be the young master from the Jiang family. So impressive. Is he a romantic? But shouldn't young masters from such aristocratic families focus more on studying to inherit the family business? How could there be someone who gives up the family business for love? That's why we say he's gone crazy, unlike our young boss Jew, who not only keeps up with his studies but also comes to the company to get familiar with the business. From now on, we'll all be protected by young boss Jew. A group of people were laughing and chatting about Jiang Chang. Unbeknownst to them, the very person they were talking about showed up that afternoon. Jew mooching. What did you say to my mom? Jiang Chang stormed into my office with an aggressive demeanor. I raised an eyebrow slightly. How did you get up here? Surely the reception desk at Jew Corporation isn't just for show. Before I could think it through, Jiang Chang angrily exclaimed, "Don't worry about all that nonsense. Just tell me, was it you who made my mother force me to retake the college entrance exam? She even tried to tamper with my college application preferences. Luckily, I caught her in time." Never thought Jiang's mom would go to such extreme measures. I shook my head. Your mom came to see me before, wanting me to persuade you, but I refused. After all, I think love is more important, right? Jiang Chang was taken aback. Wasn't it you who persuaded my mom to let me repeat the year? I was very surprised. If I didn't approve of you and Nan being together, I would have stopped you long before you agreed to her confession. Right, Jiang Chang thought about it carefully, and it did seem to make sense. He even began to doubt himself, wondering why he had rushed to the Jew family in the first place. I'm sorry, Arching, I think I misunderstood you. I smiled and said, it's fine, after all, I'm your childhood sweetheart. What are you planning to do next? Jiang Chang chuckled. I'm planning to take Nan on another trip. We're still 2/3 short. By the way, Ching, what major did you choose in college? Business administration. What a coincidence. I chose the same one. After I graduate, I'll still be taking charge of the entire Jiang group. I smiled. Jiang Chang, I believe in you. A gem will shine wherever it is. That's natural. 7. Jiang Chang was absolutely certain of this statement. I heard that after he left me, he went home, took all his savings, and then left the capital with one Nan. Old Jiang is also someone who can keep his composure. The series of embarrassing things Jiang Chang had done previously didn't even provoke his anger, but anyone with insight could see that in the future, Jiang Chang's lineage would never again set foot on the Jiang family's stage. After university started, I successfully stepped into the campus of Tsinghua and Peking University in my previous life. Although I studied at Tsinghua and Peking University alongside Jiang Chang, I was always trailing behind him, cleaning up his messes. He needs manpower for the project he set up, and I'll recruit the required funds, I'll raise the necessary connections, I'll find in just 4 years. He managed to build a substantial business empire for Jiang Chang. Thinking back, I was really foolish in my past life. With that kind of energy, wouldn't it have been more comfortable to start my own business? I insisted on being a contributor. Truly out of my mind. After figuring all this out, as soon as I entered campus, I founded a small company specializing in short video apps. After all, my rebirth has advanced the timeline by a full 8 years. At this time, major short video apps had not yet emerged, leaving the entire field wide open. The situation is favorable for me. Tsinghua and Peking universities truly live up to their reputation as the nation's top institutions. With just a brief outline of my business blueprint, I immediately recruited a sufficient team. Plus, with the 5 million startup capital my mom gave me and the server support already in place at Jew Corporation, in just a year and a half, an app called Tremor was born. When the app first hit the market, most people didn't quite understand its functionality. I wasn't in a hurry either. I took the initiative to lead the team in demonstrating it for them. Witty and humorous jokes, short and snappy content, and an endless stream of funny content creators. Soon we produced several videos with tens of millions of views. with this wave of traffic, we quickly gained fame domestically. Many young users downloaded our app just to keep up with trending topics among the youth. Team leader Jew, our downloads have surpassed 10 million. The rating is also above 4.5 stars. You need a perfect score to get 5 stars. Many software applications have been around for years, yet they haven't even reached 4 stars, let alone maintaining this rating after being downloaded over 10 million times, and we've only been live for a month or so, and we've already hit 4.5 stars. I snapped my fingers. This is just the beginning, my brothers. Raise your sights higher and broaden your horizons. There are over 1 billion users in our country. The other team members widened their eyes in surprise at my words. Team leader Jew, do you really intend for everyone in the country to download this app? I smiled faintly. Why would that be impossible? Even if it seems impossible, as students of Tsinghua University, it is our duty to break through the impossible. Well said. Choosing to follow you from the start was truly the right decision. Team leader Jew is amazing. I dare say that with your innovative idea, you are truly unprecedented and will remain unmatched. I waved my hand dismissively. It was the times that shaped me. I'm merely standing on the shoulders of giants, gazing out at the world. Given the initial success of the Tremolo app, I re-signed contracts with each team member, outlining the allocation of original shares and stock options. The goal is to go public within this year, and I have achieved such results, which has brought honor to the entire Jew family. My father praises his daughter to everyone he meets. My daughter Qingqing has been independent and strong-willed since she was young. I never had to worry about her studies. She got into Tsinghua University on her own, and once she started college, she not only focused on her academics but also frequently interned and observed at Jew Corporation. She even found time to develop an app called Tremolo. I originally thought the app was just a small project for young people, so I let her do as she pleased. But who would have thought that as soon as her app launched, it reached tens of millions of downloads? What do you call that? The student has surpassed the master. My dad was boasting about my achievements again. At the dinner table, the uncles and elders around the table kept nodding in agreement, but their faces showed some disdain. The first batch of TikTok downloads were mostly young people. After all, they were too old to understand TikTok's influence. They just thought I had brought something extravagant and wasteful again. After all, whose family doesn't have a black sheep? Rich second generations love to start businesses, but in the end, who has actually made it? None. That's why people say they're not afraid of rich second generations squandering money, but rather afraid of them starting businesses. They were flattering my dad on the surface, but I don't know what they were really thinking in their hearts. My dad, however, was quite happy about it. My mom, on the other hand, kept calling me every day, asking if I had enough funds. That's enough, Mom. We're using our own data cloud and servers. It won't cost much. The biggest expenses currently are the technology fees and venue costs. Thanks to the Jew family, I was able to get a larger share of the original stock, and no one had any objections. After all, the idea was mine, the servers are mine, the data cloud is mine, and even the team was built by me from scratch. Even if I took 50% of the original stock, they couldn't say a word. I wasn't idle either. After the software launched, I supervised the team's technological innovations while also keeping my personal account updated. I have a collecting habit, so naturally, the serial number of my account is number 1. I often post some funny personal jokes on my account, and every short video I share becomes something everyone eagerly imitates. Soon, my account reached 1 million followers. As more and more users download the app, my fan base continues to grow. 8. The tremor of the wind has finally reached Jiangchang after 2.5 years. Jiangchang finally remembered me, his childhood friend. Seeing my growing influence, he sent me a text message. Ching, how have you been lately? Seeing Jiangchang's name appear in my contact list, I couldn't help but furrow my brows tightly. Seeing my expression, the deputy team leader curiously leaned in closer. What's wrong, boss? Who made you unhappy? I shook my head. Just a brainless thing. Don't worry about it. I found an empty corner and casually replied, it's fine. The dialog box showed that he was typing, but after several minutes of dawdling, Jiangchang still hadn't sent the next message. I knew he hadn't been doing well lately. He stubbornly insisted on applying to a second-tier university. Determined to study and graduate together with Wan Nan, the old mister, Jiang gradually distanced himself from their branch of the family, and the entire Jiang Chang family began to be gradually stripped away from the core of the Jiang clan. Jiang's father was furious, repeatedly threatening to drag Jiang Chang back home and force him to retake the college entrance exam. The situation even escalated to the police station, where both sides had several heated arguments that nearly turned into physical confrontations. It ended with Jiang's father unilaterally announcing the severance of their relationship. Since the relationship has been severed, the household expenses should naturally be cut off as well, but Jiang Chang should still have some money left. Though I don't know if it's enough for Wan Nanan's expenses. I guess Jiang Chang contacted me at this critical moment just to borrow money. Sure enough, his next sentence was, "Arching, can you lend me some money?" I raised my eyebrows slightly. "How much?" "I need to see if I have it." Not much, just 1 million. I need to start a business." 1 million. Though I could afford it, I didn't want to throw it away on a dog. I feigned surprise. "What kind of business are you planning? Why do you need so much money?" "You know, I've been working on my own projects lately and don't have much spare cash on hand." Jiang Chang paused for a moment, then quickly sent a message. "You don't have money, but you can ask your dad for it. It's just 1 million, which probably means nothing to the Jew family, right?" I let out a cold laugh. Whether I ask my dad for money or not, what business is it of Jiang Chang's? What an utterly presumptuous attitude. Can't help but make me feel a bit annoyed. Does that mean just because Jiang Chang is short on money, I have to unconditionally hand it over to him? It was the same in my previous life. All resources he just took directly from me, without the slightest gratitude. He just took it for granted. How could I possibly let him get his way this time? "Master Jiang, you know our family runs a data cloud business, which requires massive servers and technical support. The monthly server costs and technical fees are no small amount. Where would we get so much extra money for me to mess around with?" "Well, Arching, can you help me think of a way? You're the only one I can rely on. Once my project goes live, it will definitely succeed. Believe me," Jiang Chang desperately pleaded. "I've already found quite a few people, and the team is almost assembled. We just need a little more funding. As long as you invest, I promise I'll repay you, or if you don't want cash, I can convert it into shares for you. How about that?" I know what Jiang Chang wants to do. In my previous life, his idea was actually quite good. He created a food delivery app himself, first launching it at Tsinghua and Peking University. After it gained popularity, he quickly expanded it to the entire capital city and eventually the whole country. At that time, the entire food delivery industry was a blue ocean, with no second competitor in sight, which allowed Jiang Chang to earn his first pot of gold. But that was in the previous life. Starting at this point in this life is already too late. If he had started when university just began, he could still be considered a pioneer. Starting now feels a bit like trailing behind others and trying to catch a piece of the action, but it's not necessarily impossible to succeed, provided he has enough funds and capital to invest. A degree from Tsinghua or Peking University can be considered part of that capital. At least others are willing to trust him, provide him with funds, and invest in him. Unfortunately, in this life, Jiang Chang studied at Beijing University of Technology. Even if he has countless talents and eloquent speech, others may still not be willing to invest in him. I rubbed my chin, thinking it would be better to do this business myself rather than invest in Jiang Chang anyway. Whether I make a tremolo app or a food delivery software, it won't make much difference. It's just that more startup capital is needed. Where should I get it from? Seeing that I hadn't responded, Jiang Chang grew a bit anxious. "Ching, I can sign an IOU with you. If you lend me 1 million, I'll pay you back 5 million or equivalent shares in 5 years. How about that?" Such a small profit was naturally not something I would consider. A mere 4 million. Not to mention the dividend income one receive each quarter from my current shares. Just my single influencer account, if properly nurtured, could generate nearly tens of millions in annual revenue. After much thought, I finally replied, "I'll ask my dad for you, but I can't guarantee it will work out." "Really? That's great. Thank you, Arching. You're really helping me a lot." He spoke as if he'd already managed to borrow the money for me, and I didn't bother correcting him. Turning around and heading straight to the Jew residence to find my dad. Of course, I wasn't going there to help Jiang Chang borrow money. 9. I went straight to the Jew residence, "Dad, how much money do you still have available?" My dad looked a bit skeptical upon hearing this. "What's wrong, Ching Ching? Do you need a lot of money?" I thought for a moment. Rather than needing money, it's more like I need a large number of servers. My dad couldn't help but stare in astonishment. "You've already used up so many servers, and it's still not enough." I grinned. "What a coincidence. I've got another new idea." "New idea?" My dad's eyes immediately lit up. "What idea? Tell Dad, I'll get you a server." The success of the tremolo made my dad completely superstitious about my abilities. As soon as I mentioned having a new idea, he seemed to see money, thousands of money. I smiled slightly and explained my thoughts in detail. After a brief introduction, my dad also gained some understanding of this food delivery app. This, Ching Ching, it's not that Dad wants to discourage you, but I feel like I've heard of this before. Isn't it a bit too late for you to start now? I shook my head. "Dad, we're established in the capital, we have a mature team and technical support, and we're backed by the massive platform of Douyin. What could possibly be difficult? As long as we partner with merchants by region, provide appropriate subsidies, and recruit more people, we're bound to carve out a successful path. Besides, even if things don't go perfectly, we still have Douyin as our safety net, right?" Hearing this, my dad slapped his thigh and exclaimed, "My daughter is right. If this succeeds, we could make a fortune. Even if it fails, we'd only lose a bit of capital. Dad supports you." Soon, the servers and startup funds I needed were transferred to my account. Currently, Vibrato has entered a relatively stable and thriving development phase. When I went back and discussed the food delivery app project with my team, it instantly received enthusiastic support from all sides. Everyone was on the same page. Based on my intuition, this thing is definitely going to blow up. "Boss, you don't need to go through all that trouble hiring people externally. Why don't we just reallocate some more staff from the tech department?" "Yeah. We could even set up account interoperability. Those who've downloaded Chanyan can use their Chanyan account to log in to the food delivery app and order local takeout directly. How convenient. And by doing it ourselves, we won't have to give away more equity. We're all under the same company. Don't let outsiders benefit at our expense." "But what about map information? And who will recruit and manage the delivery personnel?" I smiled and said, "Don't worry, I've already partnered with Navigation. They're willing to share their data and services with us. We just need to pay a monthly service fee. As for the delivery department, the deputy team leader will start a new operation from scratch." "Baidu, isn't that the leader in domestic navigation? How much would the service fee be for a month?" I gestured with a finger. "Not expensive, just this much. 1 million, no, 10 million. The deputy leader almost jumped up. 10 million. Where are we supposed to earn that much money? The cost is way too high, boss. Don't you dare mess around." I blinked. "So we'll have to rely on expanding the market ourselves. The early stage discount strategy is also crucial. How about starting with giving out red envelopes? Think about it, everyone. How many shops and restaurants are there across China, and how many billions of people need to eat? This market is undeniably huge. A mere 10 million will be earned back in no time." Everyone exchanged glances, and then someone gritted their teeth and spoke up. "To hell with the cost, boss, I'm with you, but let's make it clear up front. The original shares in Douyin can't be taken away from me. Don't worry, more work, more reward. I'm very fair. After all, we are a well-coordinated technical team. Drawing on our previous experience, it took only 3 months for a food delivery app named Kaifanle to be launched on the App Store. At the same time, a large number of advertisements for Kaifanle were also placed on the Douyin platform. All new users who download Kaifanle from the Douyin platform can receive red packet coupons worth 100 yuan. So, with the support of hundreds of millions of traffic, Kaifanle's download volume instantly became the leader among numerous food delivery apps. You know, in today's information-rich society, traffic equals money. With Cord as its backing, Kaifanle's popularity was inevitable. With the snowball effect from the beginning, we didn't have to put in much effort later on, as many businesses, big and small, came knocking to seek cooperation. Even a certain De couldn't resist proactively approaching me to sign a long-term contract, and naturally I took the opportunity to push for a lower price. After all, the other party had no idea how big the future prospects of Kaifanle would be, and actually thought they had snagged a bargain. Meanwhile, Jiang Chang waited and waited on his side. but never received my investment. Turning around, he saw that Chanyin had launched another food delivery app called Kaifanlei. Jiang Chang was so angry that he almost spat blood. He couldn't care less and immediately sent me a WeChat message to confront me, arching, "How could you plagiarize my idea? I never thought you were this kind of person. Did you deliberately delay me just to get ahead of me and do what I wanted to do? We've been childhood friends for so many years, and you actually set your sights on me. Are you even human?" Arching, "Say something. Do you think if you stay silent, you won't have to pay compensation?" 10. Who knows how painful it was for Jiang Chang when he was recruiting people everywhere at Jingong University, begging and pleading left and right to raise funds, but as soon as I turned around, I reaped the fruits of victory. How could Jiang Chang not be angry? Full of resentment, he kept sending me messages, arching, "You can't do this to me. This is plagiarism. Can you live with yourself? Can you sleep at night?" Looking at those accusatory messages on WeChat, I couldn't help but find it somewhat amusing. Chang, what are you talking about? What creative idea of yours did I plagiarize? Food delivery apps, that Let's Eat app. You stole my idea for a food delivery app. I feigned surprise. What? You never told me before that you wanted to create a food delivery app. How was I supposed to know? And before you mentioned borrowing money, several different food delivery apps had already been launched. Are you saying you were also copying someone else's idea? At the time, I was just thinking of getting a small share of the market in the Beijing area. Besides, my food delivery app is built on top of the Tremble app. Without the data support from Tremble, I wouldn't have been able to achieve the scale I have now. Every word I said pierced straight into Jiang Chang's heart. He quickly slid forward, only then realizing that back then, in order to guard against me, he had never told me what he intended to do. That meant I couldn't possibly be copying him at all. No, how could this be? Why? Jiang Chang's face was filled with disbelief as he painfully tugged at his own hair, muttering incessantly under his breath, "It's all the Jiang family's fault. If they hadn't expelled me from the family, I would have had the money to start my own business. This idea would have been mine alone. And now, I should be the one making money. It's laughable that in this lifetime, he couldn't blame me." So he had to blame the Jiang family instead. The team that Jiang Chang had painstakingly assembled chose to withdraw one after another after seeing the success of Let's Eat. After all, the rise of a giant means they won't even have a chance to get a share of the pie. No one would foolishly waste their youth on it unless they had enough capital to compete with the previously launched software. But it's clear that Jiang Chang doesn't have that kind of capital. I've successively developed 2 software applications with over 50 million downloads, which has made many prominent families in the capital look at me, and even the Zhu family, in a new light. I never expected that the small unicorn company back then would actually nurture a daughter who created 2 completely different phenomenal apps. For a time, families wanting to form marriage alliances with our Zhu family practically wore out our doorstep. My father, however, always politely declined their marriage proposals, using my young age as an excuse to wait a bit longer, but in reality, my father felt that none of these families were worthy of me. Anyone with eyes can see that the prospects for Tremolo and Kai Fan Le are incredibly broad. If everything goes smoothly, we could even become #1 in the world by then. Forget about these aristocratic families in the capital. Even the world's top oligarchs wanting to marry into our family would probably make my dad think twice. This isn't something I said, it's what my dad said when he had too much to drink during the family New Year's Eve dinner. At the dinner table, relatives were clinking glasses and their mouths were full of flattery. Ching has really made something of herself now. I heard her 2 software programs can earn 100 million a year. More than that, I heard it could reach 1 billion. No, even tens of billions. Sure enough, students from Tsinghua and Peking are amazing. They truly live up to being the nation's top academic institution. That's right, back then, that Jiang Chang from the Jiang family chose to attend Beijing Institute of Technology, causing quite a few jokes. I heard he even wanted to emulate Ching's entrepreneurship, but before he could even raise enough startup capital, his team fell apart. He just doesn't have the skill to manage people. Look at how well our Ching does it. That's right, you have no idea how the Jiang family acted back then. Jiang Chang's mother always thought our Ching wasn't good enough for her son. But look at them now, worlds apart, once Ching's company goes public. I'm afraid even my Zhu family will be elevated to a new level. By the way, Ching, Do you have any good projects left? Introduce a few to our relatives, won't you? We're all family, so it's not right to always let outsiders benefit, is it? I know their intentions. The companies under which those two apps are registered were established by me while I was in school. They didn't get any shares, so they can't even get a sip of the soup. Now they can only see if they can squeeze some more benefits out of me. I smiled and said, yes, there is, but the initial investment required is quite large. The project I'm currently working on has a funding gap of around 10 billion. If any of you are interested, we can discuss it privately. Hearing this, everyone fell silent. Billion, that's too exaggerated. Ha ha, ching ching, are you teasing uncle? Never mind, no sincerity, let's not talk anymore, let's drink, that's right, I'm deliberately making things difficult for them. These so-called relatives of the Jew family contribute nothing except for freeloading off the Jew family's dividends and holding on to their shares while idling away their lives even when the Jew family faced bankruptcy and collapse in the previous life. They quickly transferred their assets and slipped away. They didn't care at all about the life or death of our family. Some even secretly colluded with the Jiang family to seek greater benefits. I know all about these things. Do they still think they can hitch a ride on my fast train in this life? They're just dreaming. 11. After the dinner party ended, my dad quietly leaned in and asked, sweetheart, what kind of project are you planning that requires $10 billion? Before I could explain, my dad gritted his teeth and said, although the Jew family doesn't have much cash on hand right now, we could still scrape together $10 billion if we pool our resources. How about? I couldn't help but laugh and cry at the same time. Dad, I was just brushing them off. Don't take it seriously. Send them away. My dad was puzzled. They're all family. What's wrong with doing some business with them? Daughter, why are you being so stingy? Who did you take after? I shook my head. Dad, do you believe me or do you believe them? Nonsense. Of course I believe you. Then listen to me and don't let the Jew family get involved. When we become stronger, we can let them have a little soup. But right now we absolutely can't let them come in and stir up trouble. It will only affect our major plans. Alright, Dad, I'll listen to you. By the end of my junior year, both vibrato and dinner time had already gotten on track. I've earned enough credits and am now deciding whether to take charge of the Jew family or just manage my own small territory, but the Jiang family had caused quite a big embarrassment. Hey, boss, do you remember that genius young master from the Jiang family who passed both the Tsinghua Peking cutoff and the independent admission, the idiot who went to Beijing Institute of Technology? I nodded. What trouble has he caused this time? He was supposed to start his internship, but the Jiang family only assigned him the position of branch manager. The deputy team leader, with a gossipy glint in his eye, said, I heard that young master felt the old Mr. Jiang was biased and made a huge scene at Jiang Corporation, demanding that the old Mr. Jiang give him a new position, otherwise it wouldn't match his status. Jingong University is just a second-tier institution, and Jiang Chang hasn't achieved anything noteworthy in his 3 years there. Being able to secure a position as a branch manager is already pretty good. I couldn't help but sneer. Does this Jiang Chang really think he's some kind of chosen one, just a mere Jingong University? Yet he still wants to take control of the Jiang group right from the start. What a pipe dream. The deputy team leader was still complaining. This Jiang Chang chose love back then, and now he wants both love and bread. Who does he think he is? Does he really believe the whole world exists to serve him? The team members beside him echoed the sentiment. Yeah, the competition within the Jiang family was already fierce. If he had attended Tsinghua or Peking University, he might have stood a chance, but now he's thrown away his advantage by settling for a mediocre university like Beijing Institute of Technology, and he still expects the same treatment as before. He must be dreaming, if you ask me. After all the drama he caused with his father, cutting ties and everything, now he's crawling back to the Jiang family for a handout, and he still acts so arrogant. He really has no self-awareness. Plus, he's made such a big scene out of it, turning it into a laughingstock for the whole city. I bet old Mr. Jiang dislikes him even more now. Serves him right. He's lived nearly half his life and still can't figure out what he really wants. What's the use of being book smart? He's just a clueless nerd. By the way, how's his girlfriend doing? No one knows who brought up the question. He's still dating his girlfriend, right? But it won't last much longer. Yeah, I heard through the grapevine that several times I saw Jiang Chang arguing with his girlfriend in the school grove, and the argument was nothing but about money. Of course, love that comes for money can just as easily leave because of money. Hearing that, I smiled without the glory of her past life. How could Wan Nan possibly stay by Jiang Chang's side forever? I tapped the table. Alright, let's not gossip about others. Have we finished our report? We're about to submit our application for listing. Hearing this, everyone immediately scattered like birds and beasts. I couldn't help but chuckle softly. Who would have thought that by no longer following Jiang Chang around like a shadow and being a sycophant, I could achieve such great success? It wasn't until the bell of Nasdaq rang that I suddenly felt as if waking from a dream. Surrounding me were all the classmates who had walked alongside me during my university years. Everyone's face was beaming with the joy of a bountiful harvest. This single chime would bring each of them a fortune exceeding 10 billion. From then on, they themselves would be considered part of the elite. The victory celebration banquet lasted for 7 days and 7 nights. I boldly rented out a villa in the city center as the party venue. Everyone indulged in music and revelry, celebrating the achievements of the past 3 years. Just as the fun was at its peak, my phone rang. It was a call from my dad. "Sweetie, are you free right now?" My dad's voice was unusually flustered. I walked to a quiet spot. "Dad, what's wrong? Are you okay?" "I'm fine. It's just that there's a small issue with the Jew family's accounts, and now the tax bureau has already come knocking. In the department you managed before, is there anyone you think is acting suspiciously?" Hearing this, my heart suddenly skipped a beat. Why did the things from the past life still happen? I furrowed my brow. "Dad, are you really okay now? Where are you?" "I'm at the company. The tax bureau is still investigating. But don't worry, it'll probably be fine." How could it be fine? Last time, my dad was even taken into the police station, where he underwent over a week of investigation before being sent to detention. The torment he suffered during that period was no small thing. I lost all desire to continue with the party. "Dad, don't panic, I'm coming back right away." "Hey, daughter, don't panic either, this might just be a misunderstanding. You go enjoy your time. Don't worry about Dad." I didn't reply to him and hung up the phone directly, quickly buying a return ticket to rush back to the Capital 12. Sure enough, by the time I rushed back to Jew Corporation, my father had already been taken to the police station and was under investigation at that moment. Jew Corporation was also in a state of panic. Although everyone was sitting in their offices, they all had expressions of restlessness on their faces. After all, their boss has been arrested by the police, and whether the company can continue to operate is a question. I rushed to the finance department and found my former subordinates. When they saw me coming, they avoided eye contact, not daring to look at me. Seeing this situation, I had a rough idea. "What's going on? Can anyone explain it to me? How did the accounts go wrong, Mr. Jew?" "No, we really had no idea about this matter." "Yeah, the taxes and reports we submit every month have never had any issues." "Who knew the tax bureau staff would come and find problems right away?" I snapped. "You're all top graduates from prestigious universities. Don't you know in your hearts whether your accounts are in order or not?" No one replied. I angrily slammed the table. "Bring up all the reports right now. I'll check them myself." Okay, little Jew." The materials were quickly gathered. I carefully flipped through each page, afraid of missing any data, but the more I looked, the more I felt something was off, too suspicious. Every page of data looks normal. Why would the tax bureau arrest my dad? Could it be not an accounting issue? A layer of sweat formed on my palms. If that's really the case, things are going to be troublesome. I threw down those reports and ran straight toward the police station. When he saw me in the visitation room, my dad, a middle-aged man, couldn't hold back his tears and started crying. "Ching Ching, why did you come back? Didn't I say everything's fine and you didn't need to come back?" I rolled my eyes. "If I don't come back, you're going to jail." "It's fine. Dad knows about Dad's taxes. Absolutely no problem. Your taxes might be fine, but there's no guarantee the people above you are clean." Hearing this, my dad was clearly taken aback. "You mean?" I nodded. "This matter is a bit troublesome. I might need some time to resolve it." "Dad, wait for me." Okay, my dear, do what you can. If it really doesn't work out, just let your dad serve a few years in prison. It's fine. Just don't let it affect your company." I didn't reply and left directly. Fortunately, after the company went public, I have plenty of everything. Especially time and money. Most of the work I delegated to my former deputy team leaders, with them handling company affairs. I feel very at ease. As for the Jew family side, there's also an executive president managing things. Even though there were some tax-related issues, nothing has been officially confirmed yet, and the company is still operating. Normally, I hired a professional detective to thoroughly investigate the whole incident from beginning to end. When I received the investigation report, I couldn't help but let out a sneer. Damn Jiang Chang, he's really a nuisance that won't go away. I cursed angrily and put the investigation results away. Hard work, this is your payment. I pulled out a thick envelope and pushed it across to the other side. The man opposite, wearing a low-brimmed hat, said solemnly, "This matter isn't simple. Your Jew family has no background. How do you plan to resolve it?" I stood up, expressionless. What the Jiang family stirred up, naturally, must be settled with the Jiang family. That's right. The troublemaker is Jiang Chang, although the Jiang family only assigned him a position as a supervisor. After he caused a big commotion, not only did the situation not improve, it actually got worse. The main branch of the Jiang family has been openly and secretly ignoring him, even showing some aversion. Jiang Chang also knows that now is not the time to be arrogant due to favoritism, especially since he no longer has any favor to rely on. He could only hold his nose and enter the company for an internship. But Ron Nannan was not satisfied. After all, other descendants of the Jiang family, as long as nothing unexpected happened, could at least be assigned a branch company. But what about Jiang Chang? He actually had to start as a supervisor in a branch company. When will I be able to take charge of a company? Ron Nannan couldn't bear such prolonged hardship. You should know that over the past few years, Jiang Chang had already spent all his savings just to make her happy. By the time he started his internship in his junior year, Jiang Chang had nothing left at all. The reason Wan Nannan is still holding her nose and staying with him now is just waiting to get the money from the branch company to splurge, and now, Jiang Chang is just a lousy supervisor, earning a meager salary each month that's simply not enough to cover her expenses. After several rounds of turmoil, the two inevitably broke up. Having lost his education, his love, and his power and status, Jiang Chang fell into extreme emotions. He first went home to cause a scene with Jiang's parents, even getting physical, as if ready to fight to the death to divert the hatred. Jiang's mother naturally had to throw the blame onto an outsider, and I was that outsider. 13. It's all because of that Jew mooching. Back then, she clearly knew you were dating that bitch Wan Nannan, yet she'd rather stir up trouble by liking and provoking from behind the scenes instead of coming to tell me. If she had told me, I would never have let you lose your chance to study at Tsinghua or Peking University. If you had studied there, you'd still be the pride of the Jiang family. Maybe you'd even be in charge of the main company by now. Tell me, isn't it all that woman Ju Mooching's fault? After all that talk, Jiang Chang actually believed his mother's twisted logic and ended up resenting my Ju family as well. But revenge also requires money. Moreover, after my reforms in the Ju family's finance department, the surface-level accounts are already impeccable. If we want to act, we can only do so behind the scenes, for example, by fabricating false accusations. Jiang Chang liquidated all the assets he could at home, then used connections at the tax bureau, but his money was just too limited. The tax bureau official promised to help him deal with the Ju family, but refused to take action against Vibrato and Kai Fan. After all, when I first created these two project teams, I had already taken background issues into account. Half of the team members I recruited had various influential backgrounds in Beijing. No matter how strong the Jiang family's connections in the tax bureau are, they wouldn't dare provoke a family that holds sway over half the capital. So after careful consideration, the Ju family seemed like the easiest target to squeeze. Jiang Chang, blinded by hatred, couldn't think that far ahead. He used his entire fortune just to see my father thrown behind bars, the most famous and dazzling young female entrepreneur in Huagua, whose biological father is a criminal. It's really embarrassing to talk about it. Jiang Chang probably had this in mind. I sneered coldly. If he could solve things with money, I could do the same. But now, there are better solutions. In the Ju family WeChat group, Ju's relatives kept persuading me. I'm telling you, Ching, your dad is messing things up at the company. He's going to ruin it completely. It's better to sell off your shares now and divide the money among everyone. That way, we can preserve at least part of the assets. Yeah, you could also use more money to grease some palms, maybe that way. Your dad won't have to spend too many years in jail. Look at your dad, a perfectly good Jew family, under your dad's hands, turned out like this. That's right, if he had listened to us and cashed out at the peak. Wouldn't every one of us Jew family members now be multimillionaires? Look at how the stock price has plummeted now. Every single share I hold is losing value every second. They kept blaming my dad, while my mom was sobbing uncontrollably at home. Ching ching, look. The tea has already gone cold before the guests have even left. These people are just taking advantage of us, a widow and her daughter, because they think we're easy to bully. Ching ching, you're all I have now. I patted my mother's hand and said, Mom, don't worry, I will definitely get Dad out. As for these relatives, I'll handle them. You can rest assured. Really, how are you going to handle it? I smiled and replied, just watch and see. Long before some relatives got wind of the news and started frantically selling off Jew Group stocks, I had already arranged for people to follow and buy them up this time. Taking advantage of the situation, I managed to consolidate Jew Group's equity. After this, even if those relatives dare to come and cause trouble, they won't have the face to do so. I posted a message in the WeChat group, my parents and I are not planning to sell our shares, feel free to do as you wish. Ah, you're too young, little girl. When Jew Group goes bankrupt, you won't be able to get rid of that hot potato. Exactly. It's still worth something now. If I don't sell, what am I waiting for? I sneered. These relatives were much harder to deal with than those who were selling off their stocks. What they had their eyes on was precisely my family's equity. Once I sold off my shares, they would take over Jew Enterprises. I'm not that foolish. Don't you all worry about it. I'm just going to help my dad with his lawsuit now. You all go ahead. I know these people won't give up until they get what they want, but fortunately I still have some tricks up my sleeve waiting for them. That night, the Jew Group announced that the entire finance department had collectively resigned, leaving the whole Jew Group in disarray. What does this mean? There's definitely something wrong with the Jew family's finances. It won't be long before the Jew family collapses. This news was released right at the closing bell, and in an instant, the entire market hit the daily limit down. The relatives in the group who were still hoping to make big profits were shocked and immediately sold all their stocks, and all of this was orchestrated by me. The entire finance department of the Jew family is under my command. It's not difficult to have them release a false piece of information while I was buying up those low-price stocks. Those relatives in the group chat were mocking me. It's over. The Jew family is truly finished. With such a big problem and no assets left behind, there must be something fishy going on. Ching ching, I can't believe you're a female entrepreneur. You really don't care about the Jew family at all. Sigh, we really misjudged you, kid. Luckily I sold my stocks quickly. Otherwise I'd be stuck with them. Without even glancing back, I exited the group chat and, while at it, blocked them all for my mom too. From now on, these terrible relatives will never get any benefit from our family again. 14 Jiang residents. The actual controller of the Jiang family, old Mr. Jiang, has entered a state of semi-retirement. Almost all matters of the company, big and small, have been handed over to the children and grandchildren to manage, and every day he just stayed at home, drinking tea and admiring flowers, spending his twilight years peacefully. Only occasionally needing to handle some major decisions. When hearing that I had come to visit, old Jiang was somewhat surprised. That Jew girl, what made her think of visiting me? Could it be that she has her eye on one of my grandchildren? The housekeeper looked a bit embarrassed, whispering a reminder. A few days ago, Director Jew was taken into custody. Old Mr. Jiang looked completely understanding. So that's what brought you here. Let her in. Although I came to stir up trouble, I couldn't neglect proper etiquette. Old Mr. Jiang, it's been 4 years, and you're still as robust as ever. This is a little specialty I brought back from Europe for you. Please accept it. Old Mr. Jiang has been a dominant figure all his life. What treasures hasn't he seen? But he still smiled and accepted it. I remember your name is Jew Mooching, right? I nodded. Yes, old man, you remembered correctly. Old Jiang laughed. The Jew family and the Jiang family are somewhat close relatives. As an old man, I'll take some liberty here and call you Arching too. Is that okay? I smiled but didn't respond to that. Old Mr. Jiang, you know why I've come today. Old Mr. Jiang feigned ignorance. Oh, how would I know? Steward, did I have any prior arrangements with Ching Ching today? The steward replied respectfully, "Sir, no, old mister." Jiang looked at me. "See, it seems we didn't agree on anything. Looks like this old man's memory is still holding up." I smiled faintly and placed the documents in my hand on the coffee table. "Please take a look at these materials, and then we can discuss how to proceed." Upon hearing this, the old man's smile faded slightly. He took the documents and casually flipped through them, then frowned tightly. The further he read, the more he struggled to contain the anger on his face. Even the old Mr. Jiang, who had wielded immense influence in the capital for a lifetime, never imagined that his grandson, Jiang Chang, would turn out to be such a reckless and thoughtless fool. Anyone with a pair of eyes can see that my future prospects are limitless. I could even take the Zhu family and surpass many of the established aristocratic families in the capital in one fell swoop, spend a little more time cultivating political connections, and the Zhu family can stand firm for 100 years. And Jiang Chang, just because of his personal grudge, one could even say an utterly baseless resentment, dares to offend me, the future business tycoon. It's simply utterly lacking in strategy. Originally giving up his admission to top-tier universities like Tsinghua and Beidar just for a vase was already utterly foolish. Now adding this incident on top of it, it's made Boss Jiang even more disheartened and disappointed. Looks like he still cares too much about that bit of blood relation. Director Jiang's expression changed for quite a while before he finally put down the documents in his hand. "I've already understood the matter." I sipped some tea. "Director Jiang, how do you think this should be resolved?" He didn't hesitate much. "Since this matter was caused by my Jiang family, I will naturally resolve it properly for you. I also ask Qingqing not to hold a grudge against my Jiang family. The foolish actions of ignorant juniors should not implicate the entire Jiang clan." I smiled slightly. Of course, as long as my family is safe and sound. The implication was that only after old Jiang handled this matter properly and I was satisfied would it be considered resolved. Old Jiang was a smart man. He changed the subject. "Speaking of which, your company went public on Nasdaq a few days ago, right? I haven't had the chance to congratulate you yet." I shook my head. Compared to old Jiang's achievements, mine is nothing, just a trivial matter. Old Jiang shook his head. "In my opinion, none of the younger generation in the Jiang family can match you. Qingqing, are you in a relationship? Is there anyone from the Jiang family you have your eye on? Is he thinking of arranging a marriage alliance?" Compared to the Jiang family, the Zhu family is too small to be considered, and none of the Zhu family relatives outside my own household are reliable. If we really marry into the Jiang family, our Zhu family will only end up being absorbed, of course. I didn't pick up on that remark. I waved my hands repeatedly. "No way, I'm still young. I'm not thinking about these things for now." Old Mr. Jiang looked somewhat disappointed, but still smiled and said, "Since that's the case, if you have any future collaboration projects, you can still contact my Jiang family. We can offer a 50% discount as compensation for this matter." "Then I'll thank old Jiang in advance. I still need to visit my father, so I won't stay any longer." With that, I stood up and left directly. After all, handling matters takes time. Continuing to exchange pleasantries with old Jiang here would only delay my father's release from prison. Old Jiang works fast indeed. My father was released that very afternoon. Meanwhile, it was heard that a mid-level official from the tax bureau had fallen from grace and was handcuffed by police on the spot. The Jiangchang family was also taken into custody, accused of bribery and unfair competition. 15. As soon as the news broke, it sent shockwaves throughout the entire capital. "Jiang Chang, is he from that Jiang family? Have you forgotten? That's the young man who, 4 years ago, gave up Tsinghua and Peking University to attend Beijing Institute of Technology for so-called true love. He really is from the Jiang family. Then why are they targeting the Zhu family, and using such despicable means?" It seems that the young lady from the Zhu family and this love-struck Jiang family member were childhood sweethearts. Originally, they were supposed to make a perfect couple, but later, that so-called true love stepped in, and the two of them didn't end up together. "No, you're confusing me. So why exactly does the Jiang family want revenge on the Zhu family? Wasn't it Jiang Chang who dumped that Zhu girl?" "Exactly, that's the strange part of the whole thing. It's said that Jiang Chang was dumped by his so-called true love, and now he has no education, no power, and no love." In a fit of rage and humiliation, he blamed it all on that girl from the Zhu family. Wow, what kind of twisted logic is that? I feel sorry for that girl from the Jew family, being relentlessly stalked by such a narcissistic pervert, but I can probably understand his thinking. It's nothing more than Jiang Chang believing that if that little girl had persisted a bit longer back then, maybe everything would be different now. Graduated from Tsinghua and Peking University, a young talent, promising and accomplished. And haven't you all seen what achievements that little girl from the Jew family has made? If Jiang Chang were still with her now, he would have a share in that massive business empire. Are you talking about Douyin and Kuaishou? They were actually created by that little girl from the Jew family. Yes, those two apps, their market value has already exceeded 100 billion, hasn't it? Wow, that little girl is so capable. So it turns out, not being with Jiang Chang actually saved her. Yeah, if she stays with Jiang Chang, that love-struck narcissist, who knows what kind of trouble she might get dragged into. It's better for her to be beautiful and independent now. How big a face does the Jiang family have? They did something wrong themselves, yet blame others. Does the whole world owe them something? Exactly. I really wonder what the Jiang family's upbringing is like. Just as the online discussion was heating up, the Jiang family headquarters, specifically the old Mr. Jiang himself, issued a statement. He directly announced that the Jiang family would sever ties with the Jiang Chang branch from now on. The Jiang Chang branch would not be entitled to inherit even half of the Jiang family's assets, and any mess they created would have nothing to do with the Jiang family. Such a decisive and straightforward attitude. Who wouldn't praise it? Old Jiang really knows how to handle things. If only I had half his boldness back then, our family would have prospered too. No wonder his old Jiang heard he was the one who sent the Jiang Chang family in. Really, that's truly upholding justice over family. If I had such an unlucky grandson, I'd send him in too. It's all about chasing profit, nothing more. Outside, public opinion is divided. While I'm at home with my parents, my father sighed with emotion. Who would have thought that when trouble really struck, not a single relative in the family could lend a hand? My mother complained, let's not even talk about whether they could help or not. As soon as we got into trouble, they sold all their shares, and they even started eyeing the shares in our hands. Are they even human? My dad felt a bit guilty. It's okay, let them sell those shares if they want. We still have some equity left, and we can still have a say in the board. As long as everyone is safe, we can slowly recover everything later. My mom wiped away her tears. Yes, as long as you two are safe. After living my whole life, I can't let our family fall apart at the end. Right, they hugged each other, talking sweetly, and I cleared my throat. Dad, Mom, did you forget about me? What did you do? I blinked a couple of times. I bought back all the stocks they sold off, and even managed to snag some others that were being dumped. So, by my calculations, our family now holds over 60% of the shares. Hearing this, both of them widened their eyes in shock. Where on earth did you get so much money? You should know that although the companies registered under my two software have gone public, their value has also risen accordingly. However, this so-called value cannot be cashed out for the time being, although the Jew family's stock price plummeted earlier, acquiring that many shares would still require several $1 billion. I chuckled and said, Dad, Mom, did I forget to tell you, I have nearly 100 million followers on Douyin. So what? Clearly, these two couldn't grasp the concept of having 100 million followers. I grinned and said, let me put it this way. My earnings from a single livestream start at 50 million. How much? They were practically jumping out of their chairs. I repeated, a 6-hour livestream, starting at 50 million RMB. Silence, an indescribable silence, echoing among the three of us. After a long while, my mom murmured, oh my goodness, is Douyin Live really that profitable? 16. Of course, as they say, traffic is king, otherwise why would so many people rush to download Douyin? It's all about monetizing the traffic. That's also one of Douyin's main sources of revenue. Besides live streaming tips, interactions, and product sales, there's also ad monetization and more. Anything related to traffic can be turned into money, and with Chime's traffic, developing other software and attracting users will become extremely convenient. In the future, whether it's clothing, food, housing, or transportation, I can do it all. I want the Chinese people, and even the whole world, To know about the existence of the Jew family, I enthusiastically outlined Chime's business blueprint. My parents just stared in disbelief as they listened. After a long while, my dad finally let out a sigh. Ching Ching has grown up, no longer the little girl who could only rely on her dad. She has her own thoughts now, my mom playfully complained. Our daughter has grown capable. Aren't you happy? Looking at the scene before me, a sense of peace gradually welled up. I was reborn, successfully escaped that mentally unstable scumbag, and even saved the lives of my entire family. It felt as if I had accomplished some great mission, and I entered a state of complete relaxation and ease. I took a deep breath and wiped away the tears from the corners of my eyes. Dad, Mom, you're okay. It's truly wonderful. What nonsense are you talking about? Silly child, isn't this all thanks to you? You're the great hero of our Jew family. Then, the verdict for Jiang Chang's family was handed down. Jiang Chang, as the mastermind, was sentenced to 8 years in prison, while Jiang's parents, as accomplices, were sentenced to 5 and 4 years in prison respectively, and that tax official who charged for illegal operations was not only stripped of his rank but also sentenced to 8 years in prison, and Wan Nannan, who drove Jiang Chang down an extreme path, also met a destructive end. After leaving Jiang Chang, she hooked up with several wealthy second-generation heirs, but Wan Nannan had already become notorious in the capital, who would still look up to her, having long been accustomed to her previous life of extravagance. Wan Nannan naturally couldn't endure the hardship of living without any financial support. She kept selling the luxury goods Jiang Chang had bought for her, just to maintain her current lifestyle. But patching up one hole after another eventually reaches a point where it can't be sustained. When she had sold all her luxury items and couldn't repay various loans, she was caught and sold to Myanmar. As for what happened to her afterward, I have no idea, and the vibrato and kaifanlei under my name have grown bigger, and father became a leader in Huagua, and even globally. I also never settled for the achievements at hand, constantly exploring other fields in my spare time. I've also frequently supported charitable causes, invested in various new energy technologies, and led Huagua's entrepreneurs to make outstanding contributions to Huagua's development. Everyone says Director Ju gave birth to a wonderful daughter, leading the Ju family to its peak. Taking advantage of the previous momentum, she cleared out all the corrupt elements within the Ju family, making my dad the real decision-maker of the Ju family. With money and power, I naturally became the sought-after marriage prospect for all unmarried young men from elite families across the capital. But having learned from my past life, I've long understood that it's better to be beautiful on my own than to become someone else's ideal. I have my own career, so why should I worry about other people's family matters? So I simply went abroad, selected excellent genes, and gave birth to a pair of mixed-race twin babies. I then invested a great deal of energy and money in them, as if I were preparing to groom them as my successors. Seeing my resolute attitude and even the fact that I had produced heirs, other prominent families backed off, and naturally, my parents respected my opinion. After all, judging from past events, my choices were far better than theirs. By the time Jiang Chang's family got out of prison, I had already become someone they could only dream of reaching. I heard that as soon as Jiang Chang got out of prison, he saw my news on the TV in the store was me, who had just received the Youth Award, delivering my acceptance speech, with my glamorous attire, spirited demeanor, and long since transcendent self. I am simply beyond the reach of someone like Jiang Chang. The childhood friend he once looked down upon is now living a life countless times better than his. And what about him? Abandoned by the Jiang family, severed ties with his parents, and left with nowhere to turn, homeless and penniless, his appearance gaunt and wretched. He looked just like a vagrant. Who would have thought he was once the pride of the Jiang family? Jiang Chang went mad. He told everyone he met that the brightest new star in the capital now, young General Ju, had once been his shadow, obsessed with him and determined to marry no one but him. Now I've turned my back on him completely, abandoned my childhood sweetheart, but his deranged expression and tattered clothes make it impossible for anyone to associate him with the dazzling me of today. Naturally, no one believes his nonsense, and in this life, I've lived a smooth, happy, and healthy life. Indeed, nothing brings more joy than being beautiful all by yourself.